Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
This is Jessie from Club Venus from Stardom, and you're watching Stardom Cast.
Hello guys and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. I'm joined as ever by Mr. Matt Turner. Now, Matt, obviously, before we get into all of the ridiculous action coming out of the 5-star, the news, and the biggest news of all potentially, that I have actually gone and seen Wolverine versus Deadpool, or vice versa, Wolverine and Deadpool, for, what is this, the fourth time I've said I'm going to watch it, and I actually have been and have seen it, and we'll give our little thoughts on that very, very shortly. I know that you've got something that you want to say first.
Yeah, I don't like starting these episodes out on a downer, but this just happens to be the second week in a row that we lost another wrestling legend. Last week, of course, Kevin Sullivan had passed away. And then earlier this past week, WWE Hall of Famer and one half of the Wild Samoans, Alpha, had passed away. And considering the fact that Alpha's tag partner, his brother Sika, had passed away, less than 2 months ago, really just goes to make me think that, my man, that those two Wild Samoans are up there in the big ring in the sky, causing all sorts of havoc. But this one stings just a little bit more, at least for me. Obviously, Alpha and Sika were two of the wrestlers when I first started watching wrestling, when I was just a little Matt Turner, that scared the crap out of me for obvious reasons. When you're 3 or 4 years old and you're just getting into wrestling and just taking a look at what the Wild Samoans, especially with Captain Lou Albano as their manager, how just insane, just the look that they were. But one of the reasons why this one stings is a little bit more is Alpha was a really big staple over here in the Northeast and the Northeast independent scene, because it was something like over 20 some years ago in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is about 25 minutes away from where I live. He started the Wild Samoan training school. And I cannot tell you how many wrestlers over the last 20 years or so that I've either been on shows with or that I've been in the ring with that were trained by one Alpha and trained at the Wild Samoan Training Center. And every single one of his students, every single one of his graduates, they were very well fundamentally sound, and they had much respect for the pro wrestling business. That goes a long way with me. And two of his notable trainees, two people that he brought into the wrestling scene, is one Batista, who we all know well, and the other one is Ace Austin. Ace Austin, of course, a big star over there in TNA, and had a nice run a few years ago on the Best of Super Juniors. So not only that, but Alpha actually ran a whole bunch of shows. WXW is his own promotion that he co-promoted over here in the Northeast, and then he moved down to Florida and started WXW down in Florida as well. And I cannot tell you how many shows he did for straight charity, that he did not take a dime. I mean, he gave so much back to the community, and WWE on Monday Night Raw just this past week did a really nice tribute to him and even highlighted a lot of the things that he did for the community. And a lot of the wrestlers, not a lot, pretty much every wrestler that he helped train, everybody called him Pops, because he was always there to give fatherly advice, not just in wrestling, but life in general. So he is somebody that unfortunately has passed away, Mr. Rob Goodwin, but somebody that will live on in the legacy of everything that he has done for the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah, because I know that WXW, I think it was WXWC4, isn't it? The one that's based or was based in Allentown. I believe
Yes.
Am I right in thinking you did a couple of matches for them?
Yeah, I did. Me and Andy did a bunch of tag matches there for WXW. At that time, Alpha had moved down to Florida, so it was, I believe, his son or his nephew Samu that was running the shows. Yeah, I tell you, you want to talk about an entertainment, someone that was very intimidating when Andy and I would get done. Obviously, the Samoans are very well known for their tag team wrestling. Of course, Samu and Fatu, now known as Rikishi, they were the Head Shrinkers, former WWF tag team champions, and Alpha was actually their manager. When he comes up to you and he's like, "Hey, can I give you guys some advice?" Like, "Absolutely, sir," and would give us some great tag team advice. Then he would give us the old office and put a little bonus in the handshake. But that's just the way that the Samoans were, and obviously the bloodline storyline is one of the hottest things in wrestling going on in the last 3 or 4 years. And when I think of the origin of the bloodline, I think of Alpha and Sika.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously our thoughts, prayers, and everything else, good vibes go out to Alpha's family and Sika's family, because as you mentioned, Matt, they've passed away, I think, within about 2 months of each other, like you mentioned. So it's never a good time to lose someone, but to lose two people so very close to one another. And obviously you've then got the week after the passing of Kevin Sullivan. It's not a nice time. So obviously, as I've already said, the Stormcast wishes their family and friends the best, and obviously nothing but positive vibes to them. Moving on, Matt, Wolverine and Deadpool. It's certainly a film, my friend. It's taken me 4 attempts, 2 attempts at buying tickets and then just not going, to actually go and see this film. You told me I was going to enjoy it, and I was. Apart from, there was one guy in the entire cinema who decided that it'd be a great idea to buy the loudest snacks in the world and spend the entire film crackling wrappers and chomping on crisps. And at one point, Kirsty even turned to this person and went, "You do realise that you are being the loudest person in this entire cinema." Matt Turner, I have no problem admitting to you that I was that man. Yes, I was that man.
You turned heel. You Kamatani on your own girlfriend.
I did.
What a twist. What a plot twist. I thought you were going to say that like you had a word with him outside or he had a word with you outside. Turns out it was you the whole entire time. It was me, Austin. It was me, Kirsty. I'm the loudest one.
It was me all along. Yes, I decided it'd be a great idea to take in what are these like Jacob's Cracker Crisps, and I was clearly just getting into the vibe. You've got Deadpool dancing to NSYNC, which is absolutely my jam, and I was just there chomping, chomp, 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 happy as Larry. Did not realise that the entire cinema was looking at me because I'm spoiling the ambience. But there we are. I had a thoroughly good time, and do you know what? I even had a little bit of a sing-along to Avril Lavigne, Matt, because she is a damn guilty pleasure. What a fantastic song I'm With You is.
Yeah, that whole song was littered with a lot of songs from the 90s. A lot of, for you MTV fans, a lot of Total Request Live songs were in that movie. Yeah, there was some a lot of pop feeling there. A lot of really, and now I knew because Ryan Reynolds, when he was doing his press tour, he wanted to use a song from Madonna. Madonna's like, "Sure, but you have to fly here and get permission face to face." So I was like, okay, clearly a song from Madonna is in here, and it's a big part of the movie. Which one is it? And of course, spoilers for a movie that's a month old. It was Like a Prayer, which was basically like the big theme towards the end. I'll tell you this, brother. I have a friend of mine that I worked at my last job. Since I left that last job over 12 years ago, she's gotten married and, had a child. Well, she was married before, she was married prior, and has a 11-year-old son. And the 11-year-old son 2 or 3 years ago got into comic books and pro wrestling. So any suggestions needed? Guess who she taps on the shoulder? Good old me, right? And of course, she's one of my really, really good friends, and her husband as well. They were, 2 of my really good friends when I was at the last job. So she sent me a message about a week after Deadpool and Wolverine came out, and she said, "Hey, my 11-year-old son wants to go see this movie. What do you think? Is it something appropriate for 11-year-old?" And then the next message sent was, "We didn't see Deadpool 1 or 2. We tried to watch one the other day, and I had to turn it off after 15 minutes, and I go, no, this is way worse. I said, Laura, I said, I wouldn't take Lily, my 19-year-old daughter, to go see this movie. I said, it's very foul. I said, I'm really, really sorry, but it's not inappropriate for an 11-year-old child. So again, to all of our young listeners of this show, I think they said there was something like 118 F-bombs in this movie. Not only that, but extremely violent, which is comic book accurate. Wolverine and Deadpool, especially in the Marvel universe, is right up there with the Punisher as the most violent characters in the almost 100-year publication that is Marvel. So yeah, it was, I mean, I absolutely loved it. I was grinning ear to ear. I thought it was terrific. I thought it was the best Marvel movie since probably Spider-Man No Way Home. And it sets up so much stuff for the MCU. And again, I love everything. There hasn't been one Marvel movie that I've disliked. I know some people like, well, I didn't like the Eternals. I didn't like the last Ant-Man movie, but I didn't like Thor, Love and Thunder. All those movies are A pluses to A minuses for me. I go in, I have a good time. I know the source material. I know these actors, especially your Chris Hemsworth and your Hugh Jackman and your Chris Evans. I understand the training that has to go into these movies between diet and working out just to look like that character. So it's like, to me, they just get much more appreciation. But again, every single one of these Marvel movies I absolutely loved, and this one is definitely at the top of the list.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's one moment where Hugh Jackman takes off his top, and there was two very distinct reactions in the cinema. There was the women, Kirsty included, who was like, oh wow, like this man is like 50 and is in ridiculous shape. Like that man is shredded. And there was the reaction of every single lad, man, you know, boy of all ages, just looking at him and feeling immediately inferior, just looking at their own pasty pot bellies. Maybe it was just me, but just looking at it going, Jesus Christ, that's quite bad. But and this isn't a spoiler, because I think it's in the trailer anyway. But the moment Kirsty was saying on the way home, I was like, oh, really enjoyed that film. There was one bit that I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. She was like, I know. I heard you, along with eating all the crisps, obviously. And it was the bit where Wolverine pulls the hood up, and I was like, I lost it. I was like, oh my God, they did the thing. He's got the face. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loads and loads of little Easter eggs in there. Really good film. If you haven't gone to see it already, go and check it out whilst it's still in cinemas. You will not regret it. Now, a couple of things before we head into the 5-star Grand Prix, as there have been 4 nights, and we are very well on our way towards the quarterfinals. Several eliminations have already taken place. Several are going to be confirmed after the latest shows as well. We're going to be talking about all of that in a moment. But Matt, before we head into the news, what's coming up on our Patreon?
On our Patreon, alternate commentary from this past week, we go to the 2022 5-star Grand Prix, Cork and Hall, which Cork and Hall is going to kind of be the basis of a lot of our podcasting this week, my friend. Cork and Hall, Hazuki, taking on one Mayu Iwatani, as it is the month of August, and in the entire month of August for alternate commentaries, we are doing a Hazuki-style theme, because why the heck not? Our alternate commentary next week, we actually just recorded just the other day, and I completely forgot how amazing this match was Hazuki's first attempt at the World of Stardom Championship, as Hazuki takes on one Kagetsu. That was an excellent, excellent match. And for anybody new to Stardom or newer to Stardom, as we know, we have newer watchers and new listeners to the Stardom cast all the time. Hello, thank you, and welcome. If you are on part of our Patreon, wait till that comes out next week, because that is an absolutely fantastic match in the massive catalog of great matches that is not only Kagetsu, not only Hazuki, but the World of Stardom Championship. Also, by the time this drops, either Thursday or Friday, our roundtable discussion with Andy Hedder will be available, and we talk about Andy Hedder's top 5 favorite Stardom matches that he's seen so far. He basically counts down from 5 to 1, and then I kind of give my general reaction, and then I give him some more homework of certain Stardom matches to watch. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, by this weekend or the beginning of next week, we're going to be having a new segment, my friend, and this is exclusive for our Rossi Vice tier. Yes, our $10 tier our top tier, just basically a thank you from us to you, as we're going to be doing matches with Matt, which is me. So it's basically going to be me. I'm going to pick a match, or in future episodes, you can suggest the match. And it's basically, you're going to be almost, I want to make this like very interactive, very almost like intimate, as if you're almost sitting on the couch with me watching this match. Obviously, myself and Rob, we do the alternate commentary, where Rob does the play-by-play and I do the color commentary. Like, we kind of call it as if we're calling the match live. Myself and Andy Header, we do tag team breakdown. We're breaking down the psychology of the match. Why is this happening? What are they getting the most out of certain things? Breaking down selling, psychology, teamwork, certain things like that. Where this is just if you were sitting in my house or I was sitting in your house and you're just watching a match with me. Grab a beer, grab a wine, grab a mixed drink, grab a water, grab whatever you want. It was almost as if, I'm either in the arena with you, or I'm sitting on your couch and we're watching said match. So you're getting like half of Matt Turner, the pro wrestler, half of Matt Turner, the absolutely insane, crazed super fan that I am. And what I mean by, my friend, is hopefully this drops in the next handful of days, is because I try to record this twice. And the match that we're going to be watching for episode 1 is from the 2021 5-star Grand Prix, the main event of night 1, as Utami Hayashishita takes on Micah. I tried to record it twice, but my internet would just kept freezing the feed in between. So I said, I cannot release this. Hopefully in the next day or two, I'll be able to watch it, record it. Hopefully my internet is A-okay and it cooperates, and I can get that out to our fantastic Rossi Vice tier. And that, again, this is what I'm going to be doing at least once a month, as just a thank you to all of our new Patreon listeners. Not only new Patreon listeners, but we've had a lot of our Patreon members that have upgraded over the last 2 months to either the $5 tier or the Rossi Vice tier. So you know me, partner, I always want to give more bang for everybody's buck.
Absolutely, and just on the theme of our new patrons, I just want to give a huge shout out to Just Savage. Hello to Ring General, Hereview, PFP for proof. Fair play to the name. That's honestly one of the longer names I've ever read. Adam Pritchard and Chiwa as well, who have all recently become members of the Stardom Cast Extra. Thank you so much to you all. If you are on the fence about maybe joining the Patreon, you can join for as little as $1 a month, where you can get all of these episodes early and ad-free. And as Matt's already gone through, a whole host of bonus content as well. Try and give you, as Matt said, as much bang for your buck as possible. So a bit of news then coming out of the world of Stardom and Marigold. This week the Marigold Standard was released on Wednesday, so I've kept some of the news for the Marigold Standard. Obviously the Stardom Cast this week is going to be dropping on Friday. It's going to be dropping a little bit earlier next week, and we'll get into why that is towards the end of the show. But the blocks for the Dream Star Grand Prix have been announced. So rather than having red stars and blue stars, we have the Star League and the Dream League. So they announced this during their Corrigan Hall show, and then they the next night did a press conference where they went through every night of the 8-night tournament and went through what matches are on what night. And we're going to break that down a little bit more on the Marigold Standard. So if you want to hear us go into a little bit more detail on those matches, then please head over to that episode of the Marigold Standard. But to give you the block breakdowns, in the Dream League, Utami Hayashishita, Mirai, Koki Amare, Natsumi Shozuki, Chika Goto, Nagisa Nozaki, Victoria Yuzuki, and Nori from LLPWX. She has officially been confirmed as taking part in the tournament. Star League, you have got Sari, Miku Aono, Bozilla, Nanae Takahashi, Mai Sakurai, Misa Matsui, Chiaki, and Kazuna Tanaka. Matt, very happy that they're going with the 2 blocks. It looks like they are going to rattle through these matches because there are matches from both leagues on all nights, with Corrigan Hall. I know they're doing 2 shots at Corrigan Hall throughout this tournament. I believe both of those have got all matches. So I think they've got 8 singles matches across the block. So exciting times for Marigold.
Yeah, and I really like how the blocks are. I mean, considering the fact that how great all these wrestlers are, but I like that we're getting a Utami versus Mirai singles match. We haven't had an Utami versus Mirai singles match since night 2 of World Climax, well over 2 years ago on that double shot. And as good as Utami was then 2 years ago, I think she's a better wrestler now, and Mirai has improved. I mean, she was great then, but Mirai has improved leaps and bounds. So that's one of the matches I'm looking forward to. Obviously, I have Miko Ano and Sari over in the other block, Mai Sakurai. No, I'm not going to get, I mean, as we're recording this, Rob has yet to see Julia versus Mai Sakurai. I know that we've been singing her praises over on the Marigold Standard for the last few months. Wait till you see this match with Julia, my man. It's absolutely incredible. And obviously, we're going to be recording that a little bit later today. That's if this podcast doesn't go 4 hours. But I'm not going to give my predictions just yet, and you'll understand the reason why. I think I might have just spoiled it. But regardless, this is going to be a great tournament. Nori versus Mirai, Nori versus Utami, Natsumi Shozuki versus everybody, Sari versus everybody. Again, Mai Sakurai is somebody that they've been putting a lot of stock behind. I mean, she's one half of the Twin Star Tag Team Champions. And I like the fact that Mirai and Mai Sakurai are on separate blocks, because you know that those two wrestlers are going to be, as the tournament is wrapping up towards the end, you know they're going to be wrestlers that going to be flirting with the top of the block. We might be saying we might see the two tag champions in the finals, and it's a possibility. It really, really is. So I like how they have that. I like how they have certain champions from one to the other. Rob, the only way we get Sari versus Utami Hayashishita is in the finals. Maybe that's the way that we finally get that dream match, or maybe it's something that they pull back and then they give us maybe at a bigger show at the end of the year. Regardless, my man, tournament season is in full swing. The G1 just finished. Congratulations to Rob Goodwin's countryman, Zack Sabre Jr. on winning that. We're in the middle, not in the middle, we're getting towards the tail end of this unbelievable 5-star Grand Prix, which we'll probably be spending the next 3 hours talking about. And I would say as soon as it's over, but not as soon as it's over, as it's getting ready to finish, this Dream Star is going to be starting. So busy season, tournament season for wrestling in Japan, and I absolutely love it. I'm super excited for all of these matches from our friends over at the Marigold.
Yeah, if you want a full breakdown of the matches taking place on each of the 8 nights, the 9 shows with them doing a double shot in Osaka, then please head over to the Stardom Cast. There is a full breakdown over at thestardomcast.com. Just a reminder that they are running 2 shows on the 31st of August in Osaka Edion Arena, 8th of September in Toyama, Shinkiba First Ring on the 14th, Korakuen Hall on the 16th, Sendai Pit on the 20th of September, Morioka Gymnasium on the 21st, the second Korakuen Hall show on the 23rd, and then the finals, which will be a pay-per-view in Nagoya on the 28th of September. Again, not going to go into every single match. We'll be here for decades. However, just a couple of matches to watch out for. That match that you mentioned, Utami Hayashishita versus Mirai, is going to be taking place on that first Korakuen Hall show on the 16th of September. Also on that night, you've got a champion versus champion match, Sari versus Miko Ano, and you've also got a rematch between Nanae Takahashi and Bozilla as well. So that show is definitely worth checking out. And on the second Korakuen Hall show, which is on the 23rd, you have got the Twin Towers taking on one another, Koki Amare and Chika Goto. You've also got Miko Ano and Mai Sakurai, which promises to be very, very good. And you've also got Mirai taking on Natsumi Shozuki. So there's plenty of matches, plenty of really, really interesting matchups going on in this tournament. First time matchups going on in this tournament. That last night as well in Nagoya, if you are one of those people that, like I am during G1 Climax season or during 5-star Grand Prix season, you are looking at that final night to go, okay, so these two people might be in with a shot of winning. Who's going to be the tiebreaker? Who's going to be the spoiler? It is worth having a look at that final night. Nagoya International Conference Center in Aichi, night 8, 5-star Grand Prix, 28th of September. It is worth having a look at that, especially in the Star League with Sari taking on Bozilla. So definitely go and check that out, thestardomcast.com, for a full breakdown of all of those matches. Moving back to the world of Stardom, and FWC made a little bit of a surprise appearance at an Oz Academy show, Matt. Oz Academy were running their Korakuen Hall show when FWC, Hazuki, and Koguma made an appearance via a taped message, and they said that at the next Korakuen Hall show, which, unless I'm very much mistaken, is in October, they are going to be facing the Oz Academy Tag Team Champions, Ryo Mizunami and Sonoko Kato. So we are getting more FWC going for championships match. And if Stardom's track record of sending wrestlers to Sendai Girls, for example, or Pro Wrestling Wave, for example, is anything to go by, this is going to be a blistering match, and I am very, very excited by it, Matt.
Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Ryo Mizunami the one that has like the short blonde hair that she was in AEW when they would bring over some of the foreign wrestlers? Do I have that right, person?
She's definitely done a shot in AEW. I think she was part of that title eliminator, that first one.
I've never seen and I'm glad. Oh, geez, now I'm really excited. I mean, first of all, it's FWC. You could put them up against a broomstick, and I'm all for it. But she was, and half of those wrestlers in that tournament, I'd never seen wrestle. This is before I really started getting into the Joshi scene, especially with Stardom. And she was the one in that eliminator tournament. Again, my man, you're reading my mind, half a world away. That to me was the MVP. So if that's the wrestler that is going up against Hazuki and Koguma, I'm super excited for this. And I've called FWC the best tag team in wrestling for the last handful of months. They've had great tag team matches. Obviously, their tag run was caught a little bit too short for just about everybody, but this is going to be really interesting because we know FWC can have bangers with Aphrodite, with Crazy Star, with Konami and Shuri, with just about anybody. So you're going to see them kind of out of their element, wrestling wrestlers that they've never wrestled before, that are, say that 5 times fast, wrestlers that they wrestled that they never wrestled before, that from a different company. I'm super excited for this. My guess is because Stardom, the fine folks over at Stardom and Stardom World, have done a great job putting up matches that the Stardom wrestlers are in outside of Stardom on the website. My guess that this will probably be available for us subscribers on Stardom World not too long after this match. But I mean, I'm real excited for it. FWC, teaming together outside of Stardom against wrestlers that they've never been across the ring with. This should be an absolute banger, and I'm super excited to watch it, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, FWC don't miss. Hazuki is one of the best to do it, and Koguma has been massively impressive during this tournament. I know that, Matt, you're full of praise for Koguma at the moment, especially following her match with Syuri on the last night we're going to talk about, I believe, night 7. So, we'll be talking about that later on as well. And as a team, again, the start of this year, they were absolutely tearing up that tag division to the point where both me and you were really, really disappointed when the decision was made to take the belts off them. So looking forward to that, definitely. And Stardom World have a really good, again, track record of putting these matches on Stardom World to check out as well. So hopefully it'll be up there sooner rather than later for us to check out. And then final thing I want to talk about, it all links into something I know you wanted to talk about, Matt. We talked about how Momo Watanabe is going to be challenging Mercedes Moné for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship in Washington, D.C., Friday the 30th of August in the Entertainment and Sports Center in Washington, D.C. I did go through the full card when we announced that, and I did say that Hanako was going to be in a singles match with Trish Adora. That has been amended because Mina Shirakawa has also been added to that card. She will be teaming with her EXV teammate Hanako against the team of Trish Adora and Viva Van. So people going to Washington, D.C., you will be getting an extra helping of Mina Shirakawa, and I can't think of a single person, Matt, that is going to be disappointed by that, especially as we've had a distinct lack of Mina during the 5-Star Grand Prix.
Well, for obvious reasons, she's not in a tournament. But you are right, Sarah. You are correct. You're not. He's not wrong, folks. He's not wrong. He might have been the loudest chewer in the cinema, but he is not wrong when it comes to his Mina Shirakawa facts. No, and I know there's a lot of our listeners that have asked us if we're going to be following what Mina is doing over in the United States. So I put a quick tweet out and said, "You guys want us to cover everything?" And of course, everybody said yes. So that's what we're going to do. Because like I say at the end of every episode, it is legitimately our podcast. We literally take suggestions and we try to please as many people as we can. Plus, of course, we want to watch Mina. Of course, we're going to want to watch what she's doing in the United States. So yes, we will be covering everything that she's doing in AEW. I know she did something on the Ring of Honor taping that's not available just yet. I think they're setting her up for a feud with Tyler Valkyrie. We're going to be covering everything that she's probably going to be doing at All In this weekend. I got a feeling because I know she's wrestling in a match in England over your neck of the woods, buddy, sometime in the very near future. So my guess she's going to have something to do with Mariah May and Toni Storm. We did see her on Dynamite last week, cut a backstage promo that she's so heartbroken and she doesn't know what to do or whose side to be on between the new evil version of Mariah May and Toni Storm. So that's going to be interesting. Since I'm talking about it, my prediction is, because All In is this weekend, my prediction is that Mina is going to side with her former tag team partner in Rose Gold and help Mariah May defeat Toni Storm to win the AEW Women's Championship. That's my prediction. We will be, again, anything that Mina is doing over here in the United States, we're going to be covering it on the Stardom Cast because why not, partner? Why the heck not?
No, absolutely. And you mentioned already that Mina's going to be in action during All In weekend. She's actually got a title match in Rev Pro for their 12th anniversary show on the Saturday, the 24th. Copperbox Arena, she's going to be taking on the undisputed British Women's Champion, Dani Luna, on the Rev Pro show. I haven't found any streaming details for that pay-per-view yet, but there are tickets still available if you're in the area, Copperbox Arena. It's going to be interesting, really, because Mina obviously is doing this sort of US run at the moment whilst the 5-star Grand Prix is going off. It would be very surprising for me if she comes back to Stardom not having had some sort of prevalent thing to do during this match at All In. Otherwise, it seems a bit wasted. We'll have to wait and see. I know that Dynamite's obviously being taped tonight to air to the masses in Cardiff, so we'll see what happens there. And then obviously by the time that we record next time, All In will have already happened, and we may have a brand new AEW Women's Champion in Mariah May, but we shall see. Exciting times, and again, that match is going to be great. Every time I've seen Viva Van, she has been very, very good. Lots of experience for Hanako. Recently, I know she's in United Pro as well in the next couple of days, and Trish Adora, I know, has been very exciting as well. I know that Mina had a match, I believe, with Rachel Ellering. I don't know if that has already been taped and dispatched or whether that is on this week's tapings of Ring of Honor TV, but I think she beat Rachel Ellering as well. So yeah, all things coming up Mina at the moment. And again, a feud with Taya Valkyrie is not going to hurt anyone, is it?
No, big fan of Taya Valkyrie. She does great stuff. Again, she was the MVP in that one match we saw at Philadelphia Weekend. The less talked about that, the better, considering the fact she wasn't in that match. Anyway, and obviously, folks, the Momo Watanabe versus Mercedes Moné match, that is something that we are obviously going to watch, and we will be covering on the Stardom Cast as well. So of course, why wouldn't we? Former IWGP heavyweight champion against our women's champion against one Momo Watanabe. So of course we're going to watch that, and it's going to be fantastic. Super looking forward to that. So yeah, we got a lot of these Stardom wrestlers all over the planet spreading the love of Joshi style pro wrestling, buddy. Nothing better than that.
Absolutely not. It's going to be an exciting show, as is All In, and as is the Rev Pro 12th anniversary show, as they've announced the full card for that, and it looks very, very tasty. G1 Climax winner Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hechisero. Tomohiro Ishii's on the card, Gabe Kidd's on the card, Donovan Dijak is on the card. Very, very, very exciting. It has also been confirmed, as you mentioned, Matt, in all of the promotional material for Capital Collision, that the main event is going to be Mercedes Moné versus Momo Watanabe for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Huge, huge moment for Momo Watanabe to be main eventing that pay-per-view in America, especially when you consider we've got Gabe Kidd versus Leo Rush in Leo Rush's hometown. Hiromu Takahashi is on the card against Mustafa Ali. Tetsuya Naito, who is the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, is on the card as well against TJP. We've got Zack Sabre Jr., who's just won the G1 Climax against Titan. Really exciting for Momo to be at the top of that card in a prevalent position against the CEO, Mercedes Moné. I don't think either of us expect Momo to be bringing that belt back to Hate, but it's a really good spot for her after a really good tournament, despite the fact that she currently sits at only 2 points.
Yeah, I'm excited that's the main event. And correct me if I'm wrong, partner, that is the Friday, the day before the 5-star finals, correct?
American and UK time, yes, is the 30th, the Friday. Japanese time, it's the 31st. So technically, if you are in Japan, it is the same day as the 5-star finals.
What I'm trying to get to is, considering the fact this is the main event, so it's obviously going on last and the latest, this is basically the appetizer to the 5-star Grand Prix. But man, what a lot of great wrestling we have. Obviously, we have All In. Bash at Berlin, I believe, is this same weekend or the weekend after for you WWE fans. And a lot of the matches have been built up really well there. We have the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. And then, of course, we do have the beginning, the very first start of the Dream Star Grand Prix from Marigold. So a lot of excellent wrestling to basically end your summer, the red hot summer, ending white hot. Again, what does anybody in this world have to be mad about? And you have all this great wrestling on tap, and it's all there for us to consume, my friend.
Absolutely, isn't it just? Let's start talking about this glut of Stardom 5-star Grand Prix shows. We're going to start with the Korakuen Hall show, which was from the 15th of August. 1,460 people in attendance. The results to that card are as follows. What I'll do just before I delve into the card, I will go through the block standings at the end once we've gone through these 4 nights and sort of go through who has been eliminated and the permutations as we head into the final couple of nights, because I believe we've only got 4 more nights and 2 more nights of each block to actually happen, Matt.
Yeah, and also what I'll be doing before Rob gives the standings, I'll be giving the even more important standings, the standings between me and my wife, Amber, where we stand on our picks. And boy, howdy, it is close as some of these blocks, my man. But let's get into these 4 phenomenal shows here, brother.
So let's start then with that Korakuen Hall show. As I mentioned, we open with a 3-way tag team match. The God's Eye team of Hina and Lady C defeating the Cosmic Angels, Ai Sakura and Sayaka Kurora, and the Stars team of Hazuki and Momo Kogo. Hina getting the pinfall with the modified jackhammer in 10 minutes and 21 seconds. We then started 5-star Grand Prix action in earnest. Azumi defeating Tam Nakano in Red Stars B with the Azumi Sushi in 9 minutes and 43, which effectively eliminates Tam Nakano. She is eliminated now, but we'll get into that later. Blue Stars B action. Tekla defeated Rani Yagami with the Dokugomo Death Drop in 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Blue Stars A, Koguma defeats Miyu Amasaki with the Kuma Roll in 49 seconds, very briefly making it the shortest match of this year's tournament. Red Stars B action. Tomoka Inaba defeated Saya Ida with the one-hit kill Tomoka kick in 7 minutes and 18 seconds. 6-woman tag then. Hate, Natsuko Tora, Saya Kamatani and Rina defeated Waka Tsukiyama, Xena and Mei Seira, with Saya Kamatani getting the pinfall with the Star Crusher in 8 minutes and 33 seconds. Red Stars A, Natsupoi defeated Ruaka with the cross arm breaker in 8 minutes and 58 seconds. Saki Kashima in Blue Stars B defeated Hanan with the Kishikasai in 20 seconds, making it the shortest match of this year's tournament. And holding on to the record is Saki Kashima, because she also holds the official record for shortest match, which I initially thought was 44 seconds and reported to be 44 seconds. It's not. She actually pinned Hana Kimura in 8 seconds in the 2019 5-star Grand Prix. So that is currently the shortest match, followed by the 20 seconds here against Hanan. Red Stars A, Minami defeated Yuna Mizumori with the 4 press in 5 minutes and 6 seconds. Red Stars B, and this is, Blue Stars B, which is where we start really getting into the really, really, really good matches. Syuri defeated Anna Jay with the grounded Suzaku in 5 minutes and 36 seconds. Red Stars A, Micah defeated Konami with a roll-up in 7 minutes and 38 seconds. Blue Stars B, an all-prominent affair. Risa Sayre getting her first 2 points, defeating Suzu Suzuki with a swinging air raid crash in 7 minutes and 38 seconds. In your semi-main event, Blue Stars A action, Sayuri Ano versus Starlight Kid, ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. And then in your main event, Red Stars B, Mayu Iwatani defeated Momo Watanabe with the Fubuki Rana in 12 minutes and 55 seconds. And that did eliminate Momo Watanabe from the tournament. Matt, this was a breathless tournament. I believe 14 matches on this card. Nothing overstayed its welcome. And actually, before we get into all the tournament matches, that opening 3-way tag, I was full of praise for. And I actually put a tweet out that said something along the lines of, it's going to get lost, understandably, in the glut of great matches, especially towards the end, sort of Micah and Konami onwards. But that opening match, Momo Kogo and Hina both getting the chance to shine. All 3 teams showing really, really, really good chemistry. I love the fact that they're really highlighting Hina, who got a great run in this match with a whole host of hip tosses. There's one moment where she pops Momo Kogo into the air and hip tosses it out of the air, and I thought that was really, really cool. Aya Sakura, who we're going to be talking about a little bit more throughout the show, because she's done really good work, especially in her singles match with Natsuko Tora later in the tournament. But here, I thought this was a really, really good opener for what was a really hot Korakuen crowd.
Yeah, I mean, Lady C and Hina, now they are official members as of, a few weeks ago of God's Eye. And again, I know we're still have this tournament, to go, but I'm eyeing the tournament in the fall, the Goddess of Stardom tournament, just to see what tag teams can be in that tournament. Obviously, you'll have your main event tiers of FWC, of Wingori, so on and so forth. Lady C and Hina, they're teaming really well together. Obviously, they did really good work together when they were part of Queen's Quest, but there's more of a highlight on them now that Queen's Quest is no more and they are the newest members to God's Eye. So we've been seeing them team up quite a bit ever since the Conversion pay-per-view back just about 2 months ago. And they were super impressive here. You're absolutely right, considering the fact that this show is going to be remembered for a lot of great 5-star matches. This was still terrific. I had it 3.5 stars. I thought the booking and the tone of this match, where it's basically to make Hina and Lady C look really, really good. Obviously, you have Momo Kogo, who we're a huge fan of. Hazuki, the People's Champ, she's in the match. And then, I mentioned the Goddess of Stardom tournament coming up here in just a few months. Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kura as a tag team are absolutely terrific. They're not a team that'll probably, if they do team up in the tournament, they're going to go on a huge run and win 10, 12 points, but they're going to be a team very much like Lady C and Hina that are going to have a lot of great matches. This is a great way to start the show. And from my understanding, they put this match on free on their YouTube channel, as well as the next match with Azumi and versus Tam Nakano. Really great marketing strategy here from Stardom, giving these 2 matches back-to-back free on your YouTube channel. Great way to start the show. Absolutely. This is a matchup that, again, in the long run, people are going to forget about just because of how great this 5-star was, especially those last 3 matches. But Lady C and Hina, they look terrific here, my friend, and I'm all about when wrestlers are improving themselves, and they look great here, not only as individuals, but as a tag team as well.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match, especially for your likes of Momo Kogo and Hina, who haven't necessarily got the spotlight with the tournament going on at the moment. You want to keep Hina hot ahead of that Future of Stardom Championship match that has been made official for the 5-star final on the 31st of August. That's not the only match that's been made official for the 5-star finals, of course, in Musashino Forest Sports Plaza, but we'll get into that in just a second. First of all, Azumi defeating Tam Nakano. Tam losing 3 on the bounce. And when you consider, Matt, and we'll talk about Azumi very shortly, because I feel like we talk about breakouts, we talk about MVPs. I doubt there are many people who are touching Azumi as tournament MVP, with the exception of possibly Mayu Iwatani. Every single match she's had has been an absolute home run. And I think this is the absolute same. I think this was a fantastic, really aggressive, breathless sprint. Just 9 minutes. I think it was just under 10 minutes, 9 minutes 43, I think. But losing 3 in a row for Tam, huge. Basically eliminates her. We know now that, of course, she is eliminated from the tournament after losing to Momo Watanabe in the next show or two. But overall, to lose this here, really quite devastating, Matt.
Yeah, I thought this was a shoo-in win for Tam because, one, Tam needs the points. Two, Azumi absolutely crushing it as far as not only in ring, but with points as well. And we do see when you have a wrestler that has low points against a wrestler that has high points, you want to give that wrestler that's got low points, a few points, and then kind of maybe keep that wrestler at the top of the block, just steady, just yet, so they don't run away with it. So that was my theory into the pick on this match. But regardless, great match. You mentioned a minute ago, partner Azumi, Mayu, probably the MVPs. You can throw Sherry in there as well. Tomoka Inaba, I see a lot of people have as the MVP of this tournament thus far. We still have some great matches to go. Even Tam and Momo, even though they're eating L's left and right. Well, Momo did get the win over Tam on the final night we're going to review. Even the two of them, you can make an argument for tournament MVPs just based on the quality of matches that they're having. Sherry Soriano, so many wrestlers are in contention for that tournament MVP. And again, it's subjective. You can like what you like, but a lot of wrestlers are really, really showing out. And it's literally at a point where it's just like, we know Azumi's good. They sing her praises all the time. We talk about how great Azumi is. Will Ospreay has talked, on a lot of different podcasts and social media saying Azumi's better than 99% of the wrestlers you see wrestling on a worldwide TV basis, both male and female. And he's not wrong. And Azumi is really using this tournament to show out. I mean, she has great matches all the time in these 5 stars we've seen over the last few years, but she is on a completely different level. This fresh coat of paint that she has being part of this Neo Genesis group is really highlighting all of her skill set. She might be the most skilled wrestler in all of wrestling. And I don't think that's understating. And I like how she's using the Canadian Destroyer as kind of her big finish. We see a lot of these main event wrestlers have that big like head dump style finish. Mayu with the dragon suplex, Tam with the violent screwdriver, Kazuki with the brain buster, so on and so forth. And now Azumi's really adopting the Canadian Destroyer. And now we've seen different versions of it. On night 1, we saw the Super Canadian Destroyer from the top rope. And now, again, we'll get into it in the final match we're going to review with that, what she did with poor Mayu in that main event. And then using the Azumi Sushi. She basically, chaining her two finishes back to back, which I love. This was great. Tam was terrific. Even with Tam eating all these losses, Tam is coming across as such a better seller. Like, not that she was bad before, but like she's on that A tier now of selling. Like how I mentioned how like Saya Kamatani years ago, she was a good striker, but she didn't become a next level striker until towards the tail end of her Wonder of Stardom championship run. And that's what I'm noticing with Tam. Is she's like a next level seller. Everybody is going to that bad knee, which is like the story, from the end of last year up until right now. They're doing a great job with targeting the quote unquote bad knee. And that knee is basically the thing that's really taking her out of this tournament, that she can't put away her opponents because she can't fully pull the trigger on some of her explosive offense. So we're seeing a different level of selling and sympathy from Tam that a lot of people are getting behind, which I think is another really cool level of Tam. Azumi, again, is on a completely different level than she was 5-6 months ago, which is saying something. This match was great, a great way to start this tournament, a great way to really get this crowd invested into what was a fantastic 5-star Grand Prix. 4 1/4 stars for me, my friend.
I think it's important to note that of everyone that has stayed with Stardom in the wake of the Marigold split, I'd argue that Azumi is someone who has really not necessarily benefited, but someone that has broken out as a result of it. I feel like, she's never had a white belt or a red belt match, but at the moment she's never felt more ready for that either. And I think a really good showing in this tournament is incredibly important. I mean, jumping ahead a little bit, she's got a pinfall victory now over the IWGP Women's Champion. Like that, the first person to beat Mayu in this year's tournament. So she's obviously been eyed up for big things, as she should be, because she is fantastic. Someone else who's been eyed up for big things apparently is Tam, who, despite being 0-3, and at this point on the very precipice of elimination, Natsuko Tora comes to the ring and wants to clearly capitalize on an emotional Tam at her weakest, and challenges her basically to a title match. Now, at the time, I thought this was going to be at Namba Grand Fight on the 14th of September, but no, it's been made official now for the 5-Star Grand Prix final on the 31st of August. Tam Nakano versus Natsuko Tora for the red belt. It'll be Tora's first defense of that belt. Originally, Matt, I wasn't sure about this, simply because, you look at it in terms of wins and losses, and Tam is 0-3 in this tournament, and is basically on one leg at this point because Tora's targeted the leg, Mayu targeted the leg. Even in this match, Azumi targets the leg as well at points, maybe not as violently as Tora and Mayu, but she still attacks it. Yet, Tora comes out and challenges her for a title match. And actually, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, actually, this is perfect. Of course Tora's going to do this. Tora has set out to eradicate idol culture alongside hate. Who embodies that the most? Tam. Give her a title match on the biggest stage, the main event potentially of the 5-Star Grand Prix final. I don't think it will be, by the way. I think it will be the semi-main, but that's beside the point. And this loss that she will inevitably get, Tam, I do believe that will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because she does emotion better than anyone on this roster, with the possible exception of Mina Shirakawa. Tam, at the moment, is at her lowest ebb. She is on a losing streak she can't break. She is absolutely in pieces from her knee. Her confidence is shot. She's had her hair cut. Why wouldn't your big heel champion swoop in and pick them bones? Of course she's going to. So on the one hand, yes, I do understand, Tam's lost all these matches and has been rewarded with a title match. Actually, if you sort of look at the wider story of what they're trying to do with hate and what Tora is trying to do as champion, it actually makes perfect sense, especially if Tora wins and just obliterates Tam, which, I'm hoping she does do, because not being in the tournament, I feel like not a lot of people are talking about Natsuko Tora. She's still looking strong in these undercard tags, and absolutely obliterated Aya Sakura in a singles match, even though that potentially went a little bit longer than it should have done. I do think, though, with her not being in the tournament, people are sort of forgetting that she is the top belt wearer in this tournament. She's only got herself to blame, mind you, from withdrawing from the tournament, but that's by the by. I think here selecting Tam is actually the perfect heel strategy to get that first win under her belt before, we get into whoever wins the 5-Star and potentially takes that belt off her. Yeah,
and we talked about this a little bit on Marigold just last week, and I don't like it when if you're going to get a title shot, I think that you have to earn it, right? And here's Tam has lost 4 5-star matches in a row. Tora submitted her in the tag match 2 weeks ago. About a month or so prior, Hanan pinned her in that fantastic eye contact versus Meltier match. So she's eaten a lot of L's. Now, certainly there's exceptions to the rule. One, you just made a phenomenal point. Why it makes sense. It's a heel cowardly move. Why she would do it. 2, it's Tam. That's the exception to the rule all the time for me. And 3, Tam never lost that belt, right? She never lost the belt. And who's the person that injured her in that match? It was Tora, right? So that makes sense. Again, even though I still think they should have went with Tam and Micah, because that could be the bigger story. Regardless, what do I know? Because all these shows we're talking about are like they're selling out left and right. So this hate thing, I guess, is working. So, and the 5-star has been great, not only from a financial aspect, but from a match quality aspect. So that all makes sense to me. So I'm all for it. Again, I'm going to watch whatever Stardom puts in front of me. We're going to watch it. We're going to review it, and we're going to call it for the podcast because that's what we do. I think it's going to be a great match. The buildup has been phenomenal. Like I said, my only little nitpick is maybe if Tam got a win from here or there, that would make sense. However, regardless, if Tam did win one or two of these matches, she would still be in contention, and they want to do the most press work they can to sell tickets. So having Tam eating all these L's basically says, hey, she's eliminated from the tournament. Tor is going to get her match. And what a great job that they've done on the poster. Have you seen the poster for this match, Rob? Where it's just little bitty Tam and Tora looking like a monster. It almost reminded me of like that Vader and Noki poster they did for that one Tokyo Dome show back in, I think it was like 97 or 98 after Vader had his WWF run, where it's like little Inoki like coming out into the, not little, I mean little Inoki's one of the most historic wrestling figures ever, especially over in Japan. But the poster made it look like the underdog Inoki against this monster that is Vader. And that's what we have here. Like, Tam is very well loved and respected. Obviously not on Noki's level, but you get what I mean. And she's the underdog because she's eating all these L's, and she's got a bad knee, and everybody's attacking her knee. And Momo really ripped it to shreds on the final night of shows we're going to review. And Tora's like, I'm going to pick apart the bones. I'm going to put the final nail in the coffin that is Tam. But can Tam fire back? That's what we're all going to pay to see. And me and you had a really good conversation on last week's Marigold of who's going to win. And you had your pick why Tora. It wouldn't make sense for Tora to be a V0. I gave my reasons why I think is going to be Tam, and even more reasons. And again, we'll get into it when we preview this match coming up in about a week or so time. It's amazing how time flies. But if Tam does win the title, you set up a match with Azumi, a match with Mayu, a match with Momo, where if Tora wins, other than Micah or whoever wins the 5-star, you don't have anything set up. Obviously, you can do that in a few weeks, don't get me wrong, but I think there's more on the upside of Tam winning the championship. And that is me not only thinking with my heart, but with my head as well. Regardless, this is a really, really good job getting Tam a title shot despite eating all these L's that she has. She's feeling like the biggest underdog in the world. And can she be able to come back and pull the trigger? Brother, we're going to find out a week from Saturday, and I'm super excited for it.
I understand your thinking, and obviously we will move on in a second. We have already briefly spoken about this on the Marigold Standard, but I feel like a V0 for Natsuko Tora, having just invested in this brand new heel group, putting such a focus on them, finally giving Oedetai the rebrand that it needs, turning one of your big babyface stars heel, really risking fans turning on it, to then give the dominant heel a first title loss makes very little sense from a booking standpoint for me. And I know that you are very much of the opinion that, no disrespect to Tora, but does Tora sell tickets when you're going to Ryogoku on the 29th of December? And though I am with you that Tora might not necessarily sell as many tickets as a Tam, as a Micah, as, a Natsuko, a Mayu, for example, I do still think that there is a place for Tora at the top of that card, especially if you heat her up by being this dominant bulldozer, absolutely ripping one of the biggest stars in Stardom, Tam Nakano, apart limb from limb, making it really uncomfortable to watch. I think you could really, really heat her up heading into the Ryogoku show if you do it properly, and then you have the right person go against her for that title in Ryogoku. I think it's a really intriguing match to place at this part of the calendar year, and I'm excited to see where they go with that, because I think they've got 3 big shows left before Ryogoku. The Namba Grand Fight, I think they've got Nagoya as well in October. They've got Historic Crossover, obviously, in November, though I don't think they will have a red belt match on that show. The chances are they'll have someone challenging for the IWGP Women's Championship. Maybe Azumi, who knows?
Yes.
But,
that might be the way to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mayu versus Azumi? Hell yes.
Intriguing stuff, though, brother. I think me and you made a lot of great points. A lot of our listeners and fans of Stardom made a lot of great points for either way. So, again, considering the fact you're going to have this match, this 2 semifinals, and the final match for the 5-star Grand Prix all on the same show, considering the fact that how great this tournament has been. And I made mention this to you all the time, and I put on social media how great this tournament has been, not only from a ticket selling aspect, but from a quality aspect, with no Mina, no Mirai, no Utami, no Julia. I mean, they're on an absolute roll in the climax of this tournament coming up next Saturday. You're putting 3 tournament matches on there and a red belt match that we don't know which way it's going to go, that you do have your big bad heel Tora as your champion and your challengers, the beloved Tam Nakano. It's going to be fantastic, my man. And I think we should watch it. What do you think?
I might be busy. Moving on.
Heel turn.
Absolutely. I'm already eating loud things, you know. It's a slippery slope, my friend. Slippery slope. Moving on to Blue Stars B then. Tekla and Rani Yagami. Not a great deal to say about this. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Tekla, I think, is the one to really embrace the violence side of hate. I think she's the one who is sort of embodying what it means to be a brand new part of this faction. Rani Yagami was a really good underdog babyface for this, but with Tekla eating that loss to Saya Kamatani, I think it made sense for her to get the big victory here.
Yeah, you made mention last week when we previewed the show that we know there's a lot of matches that were going to go quick, and we kind of figured Kagama versus Miyu would be quick. Saki Kashima and Hanan would be quick. And I made mention because of the roll-ups. It's probably go back and forth. You'll probably be in and out of there in a few minutes. And I mentioned this match is going to be quick because it's going to be almost like a heavyweight fight where it's just going to be as soon as the bell rings, these two are going to go at it. And it's eventually going to be Tekla with her experience and the fact that she's just a little bit more violent, at least at this stage of her career, and Rani Yagami. Considering the fact, this match went less than 4 minutes, I thought this was a great match. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be, and it over-delivered for me. It was 3 minutes and 40 seconds of these two just beating the crap out of each other, where eventually Tekla is just a little bit more cagey, a little bit more of the veteran experience, is able to hit the double underhook DDT, the Dormando death drop for the 3 count. I loved it. 3.5 stars for me. Again, this is a match that's going to finish in my top 5 favorite 5-star matches. No, but at the same time, for less than 4 minutes that it was in the ring, these two went out and kicked the crap out of each other and then took it home. I thought it had a great place in this loaded show, partner.
Speaking of Koguma and Yuna Mizumori, 49 seconds. Koguma gets the win. Miyu Amasaki pays the price for trying to embrace the world of the Kuma dance. In fact, doing the dance before Koguma even made her entrance. It also tied everybody in Blue Stars A on 2 points at this point. But again, not a great deal to say. I've already talked for longer than the match ran. But overall, it was fun. It did what it needed to do. In, out. Koguma has got her first victory of the tournament. Nothing else needs saying, Matt.
Yeah, you had Kagama got in there, did the Kuma dance. Miyu got in there, did the Kuma dance. You went 49 seconds, and both wrestlers got a pop. So good for them, my man. Good for them. And I just halfway segue. Speaking of pop, let's talk about the popping in the next match. See what I did there?
I love it, mate. Love it. Tomoka Inaba and Saya Iida. Saya Iida, who for me is one of the best performers, most consistent performers of this tournament. I had a great match with Mayu, a great match with Tam, followed it up here with a great match against Tomoka Inaba. Tomoka Inaba seems to be on a one-woman mission to show Stardom why they need to sign her to a full-time contract. She has hung with everybody in this tournament, has been able to have completely different matches with everyone in the tournament, had those high-speed matches with Azumi, and then had quite a different match really with Mei Seira. Had those high-speed elements to it, but with both of them then going for the knee and really working that submission style. And here, it was everything I wanted it to be. It was just unloading flurries of strikes, Inaba's kicks versus Saya's chops. Sometimes simple is best. That's what we wanted here, and that is what we got. Just, for lack of a better word, two horses hitting each other as hard as they can. That's what we're here for.
Not only was this smash mouth wrestling at its finest, Tomoka Inaba, who's, what's she, like 20, 21, something like that, has strategy in this match because they start off with the Forearm Fest, which you knew you were going to get. It starts off with them trading kicks and chops, which not only did we know we were going to get, we wanted it, considering Tomoka Inaba is one of the hardest kickers in wrestling and Saya Ida is one of the hardest choppers in wrestling. But Tomoka baits Ida in using the lariat to break down Saya Ida with the Fujiwara armbar. I like how Tomoka's like, her strategy is like, I know I'm going to get hit, but let me see how much I can weather, and so I can get to the arm of Saya Ida to then start breaking down the kicks, the knees, and then the Inaba drop, and then the one shot, one kill Tomoka kill, penalty kick, whatever the name is on that. That's absolutely fantastic. And I like that. I like the psychology and the strategy that she had. She knew she was going to have to weather this storm. And partner, this was a hell of a storm from the gorilla from Saya Ida. Yeah, this was absolutely terrific. And again, I like how Tomoka Inaba applies that strategy to getting to the arm of Saya Ida, then to be able to break down Saya Ida more with the kicks and the knee strikes to eventually put Saya Ida away. This was terrific. The crowd was really, really into this. The fact they were able to tell such a great story and a violent story in 7 minutes and 18 seconds is just a testament to how great these two wrestlers are. Tomoka Inaba, yes, absolutely. They need to sign her to a contract, full-time deal as of yesterday. And Saya Ida is somebody that they're going to be definitely looking at pushing towards the top of the card when this tournament is over. I know you made mention a few episodes ago, partner, that you think that Wingori should win the Goddess of Stardom tournament. Can you imagine, as great as Wingori has been, that you're getting Hanan, heated up Hanan, and this version of Saya Ida in that tournament? I'm all for it. I know I'm getting ahead of myself because we still have this tournament to talk about, but I'm excited. This was terrific. We've been singing Saya Ida's praises on this show for the better part of, well over 2 years. And the fact that she's getting this spotlight in this 5-star, not only to have great matches, but to tell her story as well. Regardless of if she doesn't get another win in this tournament, it's not going to matter. Like I always say, it's not who goes over, it's who gets over. And Saya Ida is getting over in every single one of these matches, my friend. Again, 4.25 stars for me.
Moving on then, I'm not going to talk about the undercard matches unless something really, really important happens, simply because we've got 4 shows to get through, guys. So I'm going to move on to Natsupoi and Ruaka. Ruaka, who I actually said on the last podcast where we were talking about nights 1, 2, and 3, that I'm actually really impressed with Ruaka. There was a lower bar, I'm not going to deny that, especially once she was replacing the World of Stardom champion. You look at the matches that she's in and think, would they be better matches with Natsuko Tora in them? Yes, of course they would. However, I feel like there's been a little bit of cheating from Ruaka, but not to the point that I feared. And secondly, she's been showcasing a lot more resilience, a lot more wrestling skill as well, and a lot more development as this tournament goes on. And here was another example of that with Natsupoi. Yes, there was a little bit of cheating tackler, absolutely launching the crate at Daichi, which was very, very well done, I must admit. It did make me laugh. But I did really like the disparity between Ruaka's power and Natsupoi's speed. I think that worked really well for these two.
Text you, I think on Sunday, after I got done watching that show on Sunday morning, that I think that Ruaka, Mei Seira, Saya Ida, and Yuna Mizumori, who were not in this tournament last year, all got into a huddle the day before the first show and was like, you know what we need to do? Let's go and have like the best match of our career every single night. Which is saying, especially for Mei Seira, because she's had great matches. She just wasn't in this tournament last year because she just come back to Stardom. And then Manami walked by when they had this huddle and was like, hey, I'm not in Stardom, but that's a good idea. I'm going to go and have like the best match in my career every single night because Ruaka has been so impressive. Yuna, will talk about her. She's just being able to match every wrestler like violence for violence. And then Mei Seira, again, she's had great high-speed matches, with Sai Kamatani, with Izumi, so on and so forth. But she's phenomenal in these matches. Absolutely terrific, really raising her stock, which was already really high going into this. Again, Ruaka, Natsupoi, this was terrific. And I like how each member of Hate, they're different versions of like a heel stable. Like maybe Saya Kamatani, we don't know yet because she's still trying to get her footing. Maybe she's like the cool heel, like how Momo is kind of like the cool heel, where like Ruaka is somebody that you're going to pay to boo. You're going to see the shenanigans, very much like with Tekla and with Tora as the leader as well. And Ruaka plays her role really well here. because Ruaka is toast towards the end of this match. She gets it with a fairy magic. You figure this is the end of the match. The ref gets pulled. Everybody in Corcoran Hall, basically like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, they know when to boo. They know when to cheer. They're booing, but not. This is a good boo. This is heat boo. This is what you want. You want to see Ruaka and all these members of Hate that are cheating to get their just due, because not only are you cheating on the big baby face, the Wonder of Stardom champion everybody loves, and not Tupoi. So do they partner? I'm keeping the gimmick. Yeah, keeping the gimmick. And then what happens as the crowd, kind of the boos start to die down, you need to pick the action back up, and we do it. Natsupoi hitting everybody with the high cross body to the floor, and then is able to get the 3 count here with the Hurricane, but no, gets the tap out with the Hurricane into the armbar. I like how, and I mentioned this last week, Natsupoi is now a champion. She's one of the top champions in the company, and you can main event shows, especially pay-per-views, with the Wonder of Stardom Championship. We've seen it all the way from, Kairi did it. Yuzuki Ayakawa did it. The Start of Stardom, Saya Kamatani's done it. Momo Watanabe's done it. Now we're getting a more violent side of Natsupoi with the submissions with the arm bars. And I really like that, how we're highlighting that in this tournament. Even though she lost to Maika on night 1, the majority of her offense was attacking Maika's arm. She gets the tap out win here. Great match, great storytelling, clear babyface versus clear heel. The heel gets the advantage because of strength in numbers. The babyface is able to overcome the odds with the submission. 3 3/4 stars for me. And yeah, Ruaka is putting on the best performances of her career in this tournament.
Yeah, and, again, I want to re-emphasize that I do wish Tora was in this tournament, but I think Ruaka is making the most of the opportunity that she's been given and is using this tournament to develop by taking on all these people in singles matches. And that ultimately is what the tournament is about. We've had tournament after tournament after tournament of wrestlers that have benefited from basically being thrown in and going, right, sink or swim. And we've seen it with Hanan, we saw it with Mariah May, we've seen it with Ruaka this tournament. Maybe not to the same level, but certainly to a level where you're thinking she is making big strides in this tournament. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Saki Kashima and Hanan, 20 seconds, Mr. Turner, 20 seconds, and then with the added embarrassment then of being forced to advertise the E-Fist of the North Star 10 as well. Oh, just was not Hanan's night, was it?
Did you see that they came out with crossover T-shirts with Saki Kashima and that E-Fist of the North Star? Again, great brand placement, and Saki's doing a great job promoting this brand, and she's getting a whole bunch of wins here, my man, over some, and it's not like she's beating any schlubs. Not that there's any schlubs in the 5-star Grand Prix or Stardom as well, considering the fact that she defeated a favorite to get really far into this tournament. I have Hanan going in to the playoffs, as majority of our listeners do. And then again, somebody that has won the Cinderella tournament just a few months prior, but pinning her in the middle of Corcoran Hall in 20 seconds. You mentioned a few minutes ago about how Saki Kashima versus Hana Kimura in the 2019 5-star Grand Prix is the fastest match, or the quickest match in the history of this tournament, with Saki Kashima getting the win over the late great Hana Kimura. I do want to make mention that it's also the same year that Hana Kimura won the whole tournament. So, there's another feather in the cap of the fantastic Saki Kashima. Again, you have a roster in Stardom. You have the Tams, the Mayus, the Natsupois, the Maikas, the Suzus, so on and so forth. That they're all great wrestlers, and they all stand out in their own aspect, where Saki Kashima is somebody completely different, and you're going to be entertained. You know that she is doing something different than anybody else on the roster. You also know these matches can end at any second, considering the fact that these next few shows we're going to talk about, she had marathon matches, considering by her standards, in this tournament, and you were still on the edge of your seat because you didn't know when it was going to end. We knew this match was going to be fast, just because, again, you have 14 tournament matches. Some of these matches are going to have to be cut down. Poor Hanan, I'm sure she'll rebound and she'll be just fine. But Saki Kashima getting the win here and forcing the Cinderella tournament winner to get some free advertisement. That must be part of the deal in these Saki Kashima matches. All in all, entertaining, and did what it needed to do.
Yuna Mizumori and Manami then. I'd argue this is probably the weaker of Yuna Mizumori's matches, but that is not a negative by any stretch of the imagination. She had a fantastic match with Micah, fantastic match with Natsupoi, and I thought this was a really, really good match. Manami's best performance, I think these two gelled really, really well. Two of the most hyped individuals in the entire tournament, Matt, I would argue.
Yeah, Yuna's been able to match violence for violence with everybody that she's wrestling. You mentioned Natsupoi, Micah. We'll get into that match with Hazuki because, boy, howdy, she had to have Hazuki go into a completely different Hazuki mode, which sometimes you don't want to play that game. But this match with Manami, it was fine. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't 5-star as well. You have 5 minutes to play with. Again, some of these matches are going to have to cut down on time. Huge fan of Yuna Mizumori. Everything I've seen of Manami thus far, I'm really, really impressed with. Again, she's somebody that, even though the Stardom roster is just flooded with great talent, wouldn't be heartbroken if she came back from time to time because she fits in really well with this crop of great wrestlers in Stardom. This was great stuff. I liked it how we had a nice little strike off too with Yuna throwing the clotheslines, with Manami eventually weathering the storm that is Yuna Mizumori, hitting that big jumping knee strike and the top rope splash. You had 5 minutes to play with. It did what it needed to do. It kept everybody entertained. Hard hitting match, really good stuff. 3.5 stars for me.
Moving on, Syuri and Anna Jay. Obviously, I personally think this has been a huge success for Anna Jay. There's been, of all the matches she's had, she's another one that is slowly getting even better. That first match against Syuri Anna, I thought was great. She then had a really good match with Starlight Kid. She had a really good match with Syuri here. Fantastic match against Xena. That match was tremendous. Overall, I think she's doing tremendously well. Again, isn't doing anything too flashy because there's no need to. There's no need for her to go outside her comfort zone. And she's done really well meshing with the other styles. Yes, I think the Xena match, which we're going to be talking about later, is her best singles outing by a mile, one of my favourite matches of Blue Stars A. But I think this was another really, really good sort of window into the way Anna sells. Her facials, her reaction, and her defensive wrestling against someone who's as proficient in submission-based wrestling and striking as Syuri is.
Yeah, Anna Jay's winning a lot of the fan base over, especially over here in the States, not only with the wrestling, but these promos she's cutting afterwards. And the biggest thanks and great job from our friends over at We Are Stardom for being able to put those promos up in such a timely manner. And again, to the wrestlers that don't speak English, which is 99% of the roster, doing the subtitles, obviously the Anna Jay promos, because she's from America, she speaks English, but she's coming across as really genuine. Like that match with Soriano, she was so out of breath because it was a 5-minute sprint. And she's like, I just arrived in Japan not that long ago, and I'm going up against this great wrestler. Soriano was able to get a win. And even Starlight Kid in the loss, she's putting the ice bag on the knee, and she's really selling the knee and doing the promo, sitting down. She's like, I know I can be better. And this match with Syuri, she said, going into this tournament, this is the match that I was scared to death of. And obviously she uses some explicit language. Nowhere near as explicit as Deadpool and Wolverine, but anywho, but language that I can't use on this podcast because we're a G-rated podcast, but it gets across really well because of course you're going to be scared to death of Syuri. Who isn't? King Kong would be scared to death of Syuri. And she's like, you know what? Even though I lost, I survived. And it's a match I'm going to learn from. And she's really, really winning over the American audience. Again, not only the wrestling, with these promos. And I say it every week. I'm going to say it again when this tournament is over. Now, unless AEW has plans for Anna Jay, I would love to see her come back for, a few shows a month. Heck, put her in the tag tournament. She's friends with Azumi and pretty much everybody with Neo Genesis. There's 5 members in that group. So who's going to be the odd person out when it comes to the tournament? Have them team up with Anna Jay because she's doing a great job here. Again, there's a lot of eyes on Stardom because Anna Jay's on here. All these shows, and you're making mention at the start when we review these shows, partner, of how many people are in the seats. I can tell as soon as I hit that play button on my Stardom where there's not a lot of empty seats. Now, whether it's because of Mayu or Tam or whatnot, maybe it has to do with somebody that's a worldwide star like Anna Jay. So why not bring her back? Great outing, fantastic match. Really good stuff with Shuri. Shuri was able to get her style of wrestling in with Anna Jay. Anna Jay was able to tease a lot of finishes with that rear naked choke with the Queen Slayer, which was, boy, wouldn't that be something for Anna Jay to be able to choke out, one of the most legit wrestlers in the history of Stardom with her finisher. Great tease there. 3.5 stars for me. My only little complaint, and I understand it because of how many matches, it only went over a little over 5 minutes. I thought that this would have went to closer to the 10-minute mark. They would have been able to tell more of a story. But again, they kept it simple. Great psychology. Really good stuff here. And again, this just goes to show you why Shuri is one of the best wrestlers of the world and why Anna Jay is one of the most improved wrestlers I've seen all year in pro wrestling.
Yeah, agreed. I think she's done a really, really, really good job. She's hit a home run with whoever she's been tasked with. She's in a good block, in fairness. Some really, really, really good wrestlers in her block. And, spoiler, my breakout wrestler of the tournament is also in there. And I've already mentioned her, is Xena. So, yeah, fantastic stuff. Micah versus Konami. I was a big fan of Konami getting a comeuppance from the paint can. And then I realized I dumped on Konami last episode because I found her very dull in the grand sort of plan of hate. She seems to be the one that has been lost in the shuffle, which is a shame because she's, someone whose turn they've really hung this group around between her and Saya Kamatani. But what makes me laugh is I realised, thank God she got the comeuppance for the paint can. And I was like, oh my God, that's what they want me to think. So actually, they're doing a good... Am I as invested in Konami as I want to be? No. Does this match change that? No. Is the match good? Yes, it is a good match and works really well to both women's strengths. I also was a big fan of the finish where Konami is literally chasing her around Corrigan Hall and Micah rolls back into the ring to have a hand raised and then instantly rolls out and runs away again. Thought that was really funny. They worked the match really well. Konami had to resort to cheating, eventually gets it lariated out of a hand, and that obviously leads to the finish. Something still quite isn't clicking for Konami with me personally, but I can appreciate that this was a good match. It worked. The cheating, she got a comeuppance. I was fine with it.
I think one of the reasons why we are so upset over the spray can thing is it's been overused. It pollutes the air. And I think even more so than anything, especially last week, is that she overused the spray can on the wrestling machine, the people's champion, Hazuki. And that's just something that me and you cannot forgive. That's a sin that we just can't forgive, buddy. That we just cannot forgive. But yeah, as soon as I saw the finish of this match, not even the finish, as soon as I saw Micah getting into the pinfall, I'm like, that's the finish of the match. And it clicked with me. This is exactly what they want. They're using all this cheating from hate to once they get to the main person that's in this tournament or one of the main eventers, which it could be Micah. She's my pick to win the tournament. What does Micah do? We see this spray can, like, oh, here we go again. This damn spray can. Micah lariats it out of Konami's hand. Shout outs to Mikey Whiprack, I guess. Lariats out of Konami's hand. Konami tries for the armbar, and Micah, very much like the Natsu Point match, is able to stack Konami for the 3 count. And then, runs out of the ring, runs back to get her hand raised, and runs back out of the ring, and everybody's laughing at Konami. That's what you want. We're like, our hero won. She avoided the cheating that she used that spray can in the match with Shuri before the tournament. She used it in the match with Hazuki. She's using it all the time. Now here it is, Micah, who we're building back up in this tournament. And building up in a great way, again, because, here's this member of hate that is obviously one of the reasons why Micah is not still the World of Stardom champion. But the can gets lariated out of her hands, and about 10 seconds later, Konami's eating the L. Micah gets her hand raised and gets 2 more points. This match also, Rob, proves to me that Micah only endorses one can, and that is the can of Stardom Cast beer that we gave her at the meet and greet in Philadelphia. Hell yeah, partner.
Absolutely. And shout out to the Aki Asakawa makeup. Big fan of that. Moving on then to the third from the top, which was Suzuki and Risa Sera. I've seen this match be quite divisive online. Some people really like it. Some people it didn't quite click with. I actually was a big fan of this match. I thought it's definitely Risa Sera's best match of the tournament so far, including the matches that we're going to be talking about later on. And Suzu, it really brought that fire out of Suzu. Did it maybe go a smidgen long for a match that wasn't going to a time limit draw? Yeah, potentially, but that's my only real criticism of it. I think it was hard-hitting, it was violent. Risa Sera using a Suzuki towel to choke out Suzu will always make me laugh. Overall, I thought it was a decent match, Matt.
Rob, I agree with you on everything that you said, other than I think it was more than a decent match. And you think it went a tad too long. I wish this would have got 10, 11 more minutes. Or not 11 more minutes. Yeah, why not, right? I thought it should have went 10, 11 minutes. I wish it got 3 or 4 minutes longer for them to tell their story, because they started out with the violence, which we knew was going to – this whole match was violence. What am I talking about? But they go into the crowd, which you know it would happen. It's Cork and Hall. It's two wrestlers that are great in the deathmatch style of wrestling. Obviously, Suzu, since she signed full-time with Stardom, about a year or so ago, or a little over a year ago, she's, doing more of the fantastic wrestling that she is. Risa Sera is a great wrestler, but this, you get your violence back and forth. Excellent stuff. You get the chair bowling, as we're now calling it. Eventually back into the ring. These two just beat each other up. Really big moves back and forth. Suzu with the spear locks in that leg lock into the double wrist lock. I think she calls the Gambari lock. Really good stuff there. Risa Sera is able to come back with some brutal strikes. I like how Risa does the boxing elbows. And what I mean by that is she'll throw a couple rights and then throw that quick left in. Like sometimes you'll see a fighter, they'll throw like the big rights, they'll throw the quick left, and then the right back in there. And Risa does these boxing elbows to Suzuki that sets up that brutal sit-out DVD that she does. Really, really like that. We get a top rope fight between the two. Suzuki hits the top rope hurricanrana and right into the tequila shot for a 2 count, follows up with a German suplex, which I thought was going to be the finish, but it wasn't. Risa Sera kicks out at 2. We get another top rope fight with Risa Sera hitting the top rope air raid crash and the Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. We get some more back and forth. Great action here. Eventually, though, Suzuki trips up Risa Sera with a tequila roll, which not only did I bite on, but about 1,400 people inside the jam-packed Corcoran Hall bit on. But eventually it was Risa Sera able to take Suzu's best shot and hitting a running air raid crash. 4 1/4 stars for me. I absolutely loved it. I did not get to see this show live. I know a lot of our listeners did. And a lot of our listeners our listeners were really divided on what the best match of the show was. They had the match we're going to talk about in a minute here, Soriano versus Starlight Kid, the main event, Momo and Mayu. And there's a good chunk of our listeners that really, really enjoyed Risa Sera and Suzuki, and some of them even had it pegged as their favorite match of this loaded show. But ultimately, great match. 4 1/4 stars for me. And with Risa Sera getting the win over a contracted Stardom wrestler, considering the fact that Suzu and Risa have this history as members of Prominence, and they crashed the Julia party 2 years ago as members of Prominence, with Risa getting the win here in their first singles match in Stardom, I hope this is a match where they run back sometime between now and the end of the year, because the story is there.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Moving on then to the semi-main event, and a blistering match. Such a good match. One of the matches of the tournament, hands down. Sayori Ano going to a time limit draw with Starlight Kid. This was so good, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, they had a great match at the beginning of the year with Soriano's first successful title defense for the Wonder of Stardom Championship back at the Supreme Fight Anniversary show. And this was like a more condensed version of that match. And considering the fact that was Soriano's V1, that we knew that Soriano was going to win that match, with this one, we didn't know which way they were going to go, because these are two of the wrestlers that are really picked to come out of this block as one of the playoff members. So you weren't sure where they were going to go, especially with Soriano coming in with 2 points, both these wrestlers coming in with 2 points. So they're both tied at the block. Which way was this going to go? And this is a great back and forth match. You see the spot, and I think they did it at their Wonder of Stardom Championship match, where Soriano hits the perfect plex, or as I call it, the perfect plex. She holds on for another one, but Starlight Kid is able to reverse it into that cross-leg Northern Light suplex, and they're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, who is going to break first? What is the better move? Soriano's Fisherman suplex or the cross-leg Northern Light suplex from Starlight Kid? Both of them attack the knee as well. Soriano goes to Starlight Kid's knee. Makes sense. You're trying to take away some of that speed from Starlight Kid. Locks in the figure 4. She transitions to the figure 8. Obviously, Starlight Kid wants to go to the knee to set up that Black Tiger leg crusher or leg killer submission, which one you prefer. So really good psychology there. Again, this was a great 50-50 style match. Soriano, as we're getting down to the last few minutes of the match, Starlight Kid escapes the Tiger suplex, and then, Soriano blocks the Tiger suplex, is able to get the Potter ring for a 2.9 count. Great falsy there. Soriano hits a beautiful Dragon suplex that scored her a 2 count. Then she tries for the Japanese Ocean Cycle suplex. Starlight Kid is able to block that, hits the Black Tiger pile driver, and then goes to the top rope for the moonsault. The moonsault she tried to hit a few times earlier in the match, wasn't able to get. She finally, Rob, hits the moonsault. She has that joy of finally hitting the moonsault, but the bell rings. The old time limit draw. This thing just built and built and built and built. And the fact that we didn't have a conclusive winner in this match just made it so much better. 4 3/4 stars for me. Other than Mayu and Tam from night 1, this is my favorite match thus far in the tournament until we get to the main event of the show.
I mean, it's worth pointing out as well that the time limit draw is used a lot in Stardom. And I don't think there are many, if any, instances where it is timed as perfectly as it is in this match. It's literally just after Daichi's hand hits the ring for the 2 count, and then the bell rings for the time limit draw. It is so perfectly executed. The drama is so well done in this match. And it helps, of course, that these are 2 of the most athletic women on the roster, 2 of the best sellers on the roster, 2 of the most exciting wrestlers on the roster. It was a match I was excited for before the tournament started, and Jesus Christ, did it deliver. One of my matches of the tournament. Really, really, really well structured. And it's one of those, again, speaking of time limit draws, that didn't feel like they were padding for time. It escalated so organically and so well that it, for a start, didn't feel like 15 minutes. And again, it was so well timed. I mean, absolutely flawless, that finish. Moving on, Mayu Iwatani and Momo Watanabe. Momo Watanabe goes 0-4 in the start of this tournament. Matt, I don't know if you remember this, but during the preview episode, who were my people to go through from Red Stars B? It was Tam Nakano and Momo Watanabe. That's going well for me, isn't it?
I think this is your punishment for finally getting the Cinderella tournament right. They're like, all right, Rob got that one right. We got to really, really stick it to him. And not only both of your people you have, now you got 2 people that come out of this block to the playoffs. Not 1, but 2. So Rob has 2 chances to get it. Mm-hmm. Not only did he not get it, these 2 wrestlers are eliminated halfway through the tournament.
Having not won a match.
Yes, considering the fact that Momo Watanabe is one of the best wrestlers in the planet, right? Considering the fact that Momo Watanabe is arguably the greatest Wonder of Stardom champion. I have her number 2 behind Kamitani. And Tam Nakano is beloved. And everyone had Tam going far in this tournament for 2 main reasons. Number 1, she's fantastic. And 2, she sells tickets. None of those things happened, and the fact that if you would have told me at the beginning of this tournament that Momo and Tam were eliminated mathematically halfway through this tournament, I would have been like, what a dumb idea. However, considering the fact how great the matches are and the stories that we're telling with Momo and Tam, I got no problem with it, and I also have no problem with Mayu Iwatani finally getting her first 5-star win over Momo Watanabe in what was an absolutely fantastic match. Yeah, these 2 don't miss at all. You can see Momo's finally getting desperate. She has not cheated at all in this tournament. As Mayu's starting to ramp up the Mayu offense, again, nobody knows Mayu better than Momo. I don't think Mayu has had had more singles matches with anybody in her career other than Momo Watanabe. I mean, these two are absolutely fantastic. Not only in these 5-star Grand Prix matches, but they had great matches for Mayu's World of Stardom Championship, great matches for Momo's Wonder of Stardom Championship. They had a great match in the tournament for the crown, the first ever IWGP Women's Championship in the same venue here at Korakuen Hall. It's almost like a rite of passage that whenever Mayu and Momo are wrestling each other in the 5-star Grand Prix or in Korakuen Hall, you know it's going to be great, and this was terrific. I liked how Momo was working over Mayu's knee, and nobody sells better than Mayu, and that's no disrespect to any wrestler. It's just Mayu is a next-level seller. She's one of the best sellers I've ever seen, and she's getting the crowd invested. And I do want to make mention, as like the beginning of the Suzu versus Risa match was started, the crowd was starting to get quiet. I think they were just getting tired, and then to Suzu and Risa's credit, they were able to get the crowd more invested towards the end of the match. And then the first 3 or 4 minutes of Kid and Soriano, the crowd was a little quiet, and then they picked up the last 10 minutes because of how great the match was. And the crowd stayed up for this entire match. So kudos to the Stardom wrestlers, especially the 6 wrestlers in the last 3 matches that were able to pull a tired Korakuen Hall crowd up. And rightfully so. They've seen 15 matches at this point. So they were ready to rock and roll for this one. This was terrific. Mayu gets going. Momo's doing a little bit of cheating. Again, not in front of the referee, which I absolutely loved. You know, if you're going to cheat, don't do it in front of the referee. Working over Mayu's knee. Mayu goes into that zombie Mayu gear, that next level gear, as she's getting ready to try to finish off her rival and Momo Watanabe. And then Mayu tries that reverse springboard hurricanrana, same move she pinned Momo with, to go into the finals of the IWGP tournament. But Momo, credit to hate, they have the ref distracted, takes the bat to Mayu's knee, and Mayu takes this disgusting bump coming off the ropes backwards too. So you don't know where you're bumping, buddy. Like, you don't know where you're bumping. So I thought that was great. Eventually though, Mayu is able to fire back, hits a brutal super kick, and then hits that reverse poison rana that she tried earlier for the 3 count. 4 3/4 stars for me, my friend. I like this match just a little bit better than Starlight Kid and Soriano, but you're really splitting hairs. In my opinion, Mayu Iwatani has the 2 best matches in this tournament thus far, because we still got some great stuff to go with Mayu and Tam, my number 1, and this one as number 2. What a great show, especially great last 3 matches to end this phenomenal card, my man.
I mean, this and the Soriano and Starlight Kid match are really 1A and 1B for the best matches in the tournament for me. Momo, whose selling I've never really sort of looked at, especially during this heel run. Yet here, the way she crumples from that super kick, and you mentioned that super kick, man, it was so beautifully timed. And again, these two just have this unrivaled chemistry on the roster. You're absolutely right. They never miss. And genuinely, this was another really, really exciting match. And for Mayu to win in the same way that she beat Momo in the IWGP Women's Tournament, in the same venue, with the same move, very poetic. And, you know, this is just another example of Mayu being a god-tier seller, because the way, and credit to hate, absolutely agree with you, my friend, credit to hate, the interference made sense. Let's destroy Mayu's knee and then feed it to Momo. And it's only because Mayu's resilience is sort of fabled, it's sort of Stardom lore at this point, you know, that she's able to sort of continue to fight on doggedly and determinedly. What I did like was that Mayu still tried her moveset, still tried the frog splash, connected with it, couldn't get the pinfall because it messed up her knee. Tried double foot stomp, didn't connect, crumpled on impact. I think both women told the story of this match so well. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Both this and the semi-main event. I know this is a long card, 14 matches in all. If you've got no time, if you're running short on time, this and the semi-main event are musts if you are catching up on this tournament. In fact, I'll save you time. Go and watch every single Mayu Iwatani match. Go and watch every single Mayu Iwatani match ever in Stardom. It's only like 900 matches, but even so, this is fantastic. And it was a really, really good way to end the night. So that was night 4. Don't worry, guys. Only 3 more nights to go. I know you're excited. So moving on then to...
Not yet, my man.
So
Here we go.
sorry.
You ready?
Look
Here
at
we
that.
go.
Come on.
This is important. This is important. Okay, so going into this night, Amber has 15 and I have 12. So she's leading me by 3. However, Rob Goodwin, pull a little rally here. Amber got 8 right and I got 9 right. So I won the night, closing the gap as we go into the next show with my beautiful bride at 23 points and me at 21.
There you go. There you go. It's heating up in the Turner household. We move on then to Kyoto, the beautiful KBS Hall. 506 people in attendance, a healthy number for Stardom in KBS Hall, just to give you some sort of indication. They usually average out at about 380 people. They have cracked 500 a couple of times, but again, that average hovers between 380 and 400 in the venue, so they'll be happy with this number, especially with hometown girl Miyu Amasaki in the main event. This is a Blue Stars only night, and the results are as follows. 5-star Grand Prix, Blue Stars B match. Saya Kamatani defeats Rani Agami with the Star Crusher. Xena defeated Anna Jay in Blue Stars A with the Thunderstruck in 10 minutes and 3 seconds. In a singles match, Aya Sakura defeated Rian with the modified triangle choke in 6 minutes and 48 seconds. Blue Stars B action, Hanan defeated Tekla with the blockbuster hold in 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Blue Stars A again, Starlight Kid defeating Koguma with the Black Tiger Leg Killer in 13 minutes and 35 seconds in another match that Starlight Kid has produced, which is tremendous. Semi-main event, Blue Stars A, Risa Seira defeated Saki Kashima with the single leg crab hold in 9 minutes and 50 seconds, though let's be perfectly honest, it was dizziness that defeated Saki Kashima more than Risa Seira did. Honestly, did not stop laughing at that match. And then in your main event, Sayori Ano defeated Miyu Amasaki with the Tom Sandra in 10 minutes and 20 seconds to move level top of Blue Stars B. Matt, let's start with Saya Kamatani. Now, Saya wins this match, moves 3-0 and to the top, clearing Blue Stars B. But I know that you're still not sold on her as a fully fledged heel. Now, here I feel like she's sort of getting there. And I feel like in a match with Saki Kashima, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, she almost hit the nail on the head. Are you sort of seeing Saya Kamatani as more of a heel, or are you still sort of not convinced and still only see her as more of a tweener, for lack of a better phrase?
Handsome Rob Goodwin, what was the time on this match? I don't think you gave it.
This match was 8 minutes and 13 seconds.
This match, she came across, again, as the cool heel, which, again, I have no problem with. Her look is amazing. Everything she's doing is really cool. It's going to take time, especially when you're that uber babyface that Saya Kamatani has been for the last 4 years or so, for her to kind of find her way in the ring as a heel. The entrance is cool. All the black, the flag, the cool thing that she does, sitting nonchalantly on the turnbuckle as her opponent makes her entrance, or as her music is still playing. With this match, I think it was a great match. I thought Rani Ugami was terrific here. She's the underdog babyface. She's still only wrestling around a year, where Saya Kamatani is this main eventer. I thought it was a great match, but there was things happening in this match that Saya Kamatani was getting pops for. And by that, because she was doing cool moves. Like she did the schoolboy suplex, which is phenomenal. I've never seen anybody else do it before. She does it here, and she gets the ooh pop. And she gets the Star Crusher 1, 2, 3, and she gets the ooh pop. And I'm like, maybe that's just going to be her role in here. Obviously, we'll talk about the match with Saki Kashima, where she's full-fledged heel. But again, when you have so many different members of this hate group, maybe certain members of this heel faction have to come across different. Natsukatora is the heel you want to boo. Tekla's doing a phenomenal job as the heel that you want to boo. Ruwaka and Konami, not only are they heels that you want to boo, but they have that damn milk crate or lunch crate and that damn spray can. So now they have weapons and stuff that you want to boo. And, Tora as well with the mist, and Tekla with that belt that hopefully she doesn't hit anybody in the eye with. But regardless, at the same time, look at all the other members of this group. Momo Watanabe is a cool heel. You go on social media and everybody loves Momo Watanabe because she is a great worker. And she comes across as cool. Again, we've said this a dozen times. I'm going to say it again. Philadelphia, hardcore city, when it comes to sports, especially their pro wrestling. Outside of Micah, nobody in the legendary ECW arena got a bigger face pop than Momo Watanabe. And Momo didn't. She just comes across as a cool heel. I have a feeling, even though she's wrestling a worldwide star and a great wrestler, Mercedes Moné, in DC, I have a feeling Momo Watanabe is going to get a lot of not babyface reaction, but basically, you're a cool heel, you're an ass kicker, you're a great wrestler. Maybe you do that with Saya Kamatani. Again, if she doesn't find that footing. One of the great things about Stardom is after this 5-star Grand Prix, Stardom runs anywhere between two to three shows a week. So Saya can try out different things in tag matches, in multi-person matches, in singles matches to see if she can tweak her character in ring to get that heel reaction. If not, she can just be a cool heel, very much like Momo Watanabe, but in a different way. And I didn't mention Rina as well, because I think Rina's somebody that's starting to get over as a cool heel, especially when she wrestles people that are 18, 19 years old. And because she's only 16, 17, she calls them an old hag, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And she's great in the ring. Again, you have all these other cheating heels that you will boo, and boo in a good way. The good heat. You want to see them get their comeuppings. We saw it with Konami, with the spray can with Micah. We're going to talk about how Ruaka happened with Ruaka and her match with Micah as well on the final show we're going to review. So maybe that's what they do with Saya Kamatani. It's very, very interesting. And I would much rather see Saya Kamatani as a cool heel because that entrance is cool. It screams, okay, that's awesome. Like, how am I supposed to boo that? And if Saya does a few cool moves here or there, she can come across as a cool heel. Again, you're in this faction with all these other wrestlers that are typical heel 101s. Why not have Saya stand out? At least for now, until she can find her footing. Regardless, if this is the Saya Kamatani heel we're going to get, great matches, making Rana Yagami look like the underneath babyface. Rana gets the L here, but this is one of the better outings Rana Yagami's have. It seems like we've been saying that every week for the last 6 months. But this was a great match, great way to start the show. 3 3/4 stars. I don't know where they're going with Saya Kamatani, but I'm very, very interested in it.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you've set aside some time away from social media every day. Maybe you find the time to put on your favourite Mayu Iwatani match. Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed like Ryogoku with kids' activities, big work projects and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. It's so important to make time for yourself, even when life can get so hectic. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to become the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's a service that is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/stardom today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/stardom. And now back to today's episode. Let's keep this rolling then to a fantastic match. Xena versus Anna Jay. Easily Anna Jay's best match of the tour so far. She messed meshed perfectly with Xena's style, showcasing even more improvement. There was smooth transitions, a great back and forth that made this a very, very entertaining watch. Couple that with a really, really passionate promo that she cut backstage as well. But ultimately, obviously, the loss proves pivotal for Anna's tournament. She's pretty much eliminated now. She's conceded tiebreakers to Syuri, Starlight Kid, and now Xena, all who are above her in the block. So it does look like she's out. However, I think she gave as good as she got with Xena, and she really showcased how much those chops hurt. She did not want to take any more from Xena, did she?
No, then Xena did a great job because the chop is getting a reaction. Right? Whenever I'm in a match, and again, I say this all the time, on my best day, I'm nowhere near as good as these wrestlers on their worst day. But if I'm in a match, and 90% of my career, I'm a baby face, and the match isn't getting the reaction that I want, I will tell the person to put me in the corner, chop me, I will sell it, and then I will tell them, hey, you keep chopping me until we get a reaction. They were getting the reaction that they wanted, right, in this match. And they did a great job building up the chops because they did great technical wrestling to start. Anna Jay was throwing some really, really good forearms, not only in this match, but all of her matches, considering the fact that Stardom is a much more hard-hitting style that she's not used to compared to AEW. And I'm not saying AEW is not a hard-hitting style, but compared to the wrestlers in Stardom, again, what is? Considering the fact that Anna Jay is one of the taller wrestlers, she has that to her advantage, where her strikes, especially her forearms, are looking more devastating. So you're building that up. Xena's getting into the chops. They get a really good reaction. Anna Jay doesn't want to take anymore, but Xena, being very, very smart when it comes to crowd psychology, is like, no, I'm going to stretch this out and get one or two more chops because the crowd's reacting to it, and they're reacting in a good way. We're eliciting a reaction from the crowd. They're enjoying this. So she's like, all right, Anna Jay, I know you probably don't want to take anymore. You're on the cell, but guess what? This stuff's getting over. We're going to do it one or two more times. Excellent, excellent stuff here. Great, great call from both Anna and Xena. Terrific match. The match just keeps building, building, building. I have noticed the last few matches that Anna Jay uses the flatliner into the Koji clutch. Shout outs to my main man, Shane Hagedorn, because she did this in 2 matches, and I couldn't figure out the name of the Koji clutch because I actually had to text him because he's at the tail end of writing his Ring of Honor book. And I said, what is that move that Chris Daniels would always do after the flatliner? And he's like, oh, it was his tribute to Koji Kanemoto, the Koji clutch. And I was like, how can I forget that? My guess is she probably took that as akin to Christopher Daniels, who's an agent AEW. And it works really well with Anna Jay and her moveset. And I liked how she used it here, and she uses it in her match with Miyu Amasaki. We'll get into a little bit later. I really, really like that. I thought this was some excellent stuff. She's adding more stuff into her arsenal. Terrific match, great build-up, and really a great way to finish this match. And the fact that this match was her longest match of the tournament at just a shade over 10 minutes. 4.25 stars for me, my man. This is not only Anna Jay's best match that I've seen her in this tournament, probably the best singles match I've seen her have in her young career, and one of Xena's best matches, obviously outside of the red belt match that she's had with Micah. But really an excellent showing from these two great, great wrestlers.
Just quickly, what's your opinion? Do you think that this was a better match? And again, this, she's had really, really, really good matches with the likes of Syuri, with the likes of Starlight Kid, with the likes of Syuri Anu. This was her best match so far. Do you think that has anything to do at all with the lack of a language barrier between the two of them?
No disrespect to Xena, and I'm going to get there, but as far as work rate goes, Starlight Kid, Soriano, and Syuri are better than Xena. Of course, Xena's been in and out of Stardom for a year, and Syuri, Starlight Kid, and Soriano have been there quite a bit. It can be, that's a partner. I didn't even look at it like that. I think it's one, the language barrier. Sure, they speak the same language, so they can do a little bit more contrived spots. The last thing you want to do is have a lack of communication when you're trying to do something, and then not only does it look bad, you don't want anybody to get hurt. So I think that's a possibility. I think the fact that she's finding her footing here, because this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this was her 4th match in the tournament, right?
It was,
yeah. Kid, you just mentioned it. Yeah, you just mentioned it, Kid, Anu, and Syuri. I think it's her 4th match in the tournament, and the fact that this match got 10 minutes. You look at the other matches, they didn't go as long because one, especially the Corkin Hall and night 1, you had a very, very long card. so you needed to kind of cut down on time. And 2, you wanted to keep the match a little bit simpler. This match got a lot more time. Again, 10 minutes. She's finding her footing. She's understanding how to react to the audience. And yeah, I didn't even look at it like that. That was a very smart pull from you, partner, that the fact that her and Xena speak the same language, that they're able to probably do a little bit more. So I think all those things combined, and the fact that Xena's on just a one-person mission to show that she really not only belongs in Stardom, but belongs in the main event scene as well. I think you add the fact that these 2 wrestlers were so motivated. Not that obviously Anu, Sherry, and Starlight Kid aren't motivated at all, but those 3 wrestlers are at the top of the card, and they're at the top of the card for a reason. I think that these 2 wrestlers were just on a mission to be like, we have the opportunity to steal the show, and steal the show they did here at the beautiful KBS Hall.
Moving on to Hanan and Tekla then. I imagine that Tekla is probably leaving this match wondering how on earth she snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, because she beat Hanan all around the ring during this match. She was terrifyingly dominant, even if she was having sort of a feud with the Kyoto crowd, who did not understand her when she told them in no uncertain terms to move out of the way. That was quite entertaining. But apart from that, Hanan, literally out of absolutely nowhere, hits 2 of the the blockbuster hold, and wins. Like, out of nowhere. I mean, yes, Tekla hits a spear, pulls Hanan up before the count of 3. It's that complacency that really incenses Hanan, who, out of nowhere, hits a headbutt. I don't think I've ever seen Hanan hit a headbutt before, hits a back suplex, and then hits a blockbuster hold. But it did very much feel like okay. Though I did enjoy the story of Tekla sort of getting a comeuppance because of that complacency, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at what Hanan really did in this match is who's the leader of her faction? Mayu Iwatani. She basically just almost took like Mayu's psychology of matches and used it here. Made Tekla look more of a badass. And Tekla, I'm really invested in, because she is coming out of this tournament as somebody that will cheat when she needs to, but she's there to beat your ass. I mean, some of these strikes that she's throwing in every single one of the matches. Again, Rana Yugami, the match went 3 minutes, and it was just the 2 of them beating the crap out of each other, where she beats up Hanan here, literally to no end. Hanan selling. It's getting, and again, not that it was bad or B- to begin with. It was always excellent, but her selling here is next level, very much like a Mayu match. And then once Hanan has had enough of Tekla, she hits that insane stiff headbutt, very much like we've seen Mayu hit those buzzsaw kicks or the super kick to build towards the finish. And that's basically what happens here. It's kind of Hanan gets a couple things in here or there, but eventually just Tekla beating up Hanan. Hanan tries to surprise her with the 17 roll up. Konami pulls the ref out, and as soon as the Konami pulls the ref out, what happens? Rob, 500 people in KBS Hall, boo, boo, very much like Ruwaka and Natsupoi that we just talked about. That's the boo that you want. We thought that Natsupoi had the flash fall with the fairy magic on Ruwaka. Ref gets pulled, we boo. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what you want. We thought we had the flash fall with the 17 roll up here on Hanan, but the ref gets pulled by Konami. Again, they're the heels. That's what you want. Eventually, though, Tekla gets her comeuppance. The hero wins. How does the hero win? By doing a move. Again, I've never seen Hanan use that shoot-style headbutt before. She does that, the backdrop, and then the Hanan special blockbuster hold, whatever you want to call it, for the finish. It's a great match, and I got to be honest with you, partner. When this match got finished, I don't remember a better singles Tekla match Tekla's ever had. Like, it seemed like when she was really getting her steam behind her in 2022, she got injured, had to miss the 5-star Grand Prix. And when they came back, they really didn't have much for her. They kind of had her win the SWA belt only to, put it on Mayu. That belt eventually went away. She was in 6-person tags. They really didn't have much for her to do until this heel turn. And now she's had a lot to do. And she's been having great singles matches. But I don't remember having, as far as work rate goes and crowd psychology and getting the crowd involved, a better singles match than she had here with Hanan, which tells me, 1, how great Hanan is, and 2, how much better Tekla is getting, especially in this new ass kicker role in this version of Hate, the only version of Hate that we've seen. 4.25 stars for me, my man. I absolutely love this match.
Yeah, I thought they did really, really well with this. The thing is with Tekla is that she has had such bad luck when it comes to injury, and whenever she was building momentum, it seemed that she would come down with an injury or she'd have to take time off. At least that was the case heading into, I believe it's the 2022 5-star. It was so ill-timed. And then sort of, she was with Donna Del Mondo, sort of the last sort of death throes of Donna Del Mondo that was effectively just Julia, Mai Sakurai, and her. They had a lot of losses as well. She was seen as Julia's underling. So, unfortunately, I think she struggled because of all of that. However, she is coming, she's embraced this brand new role. It has been a breath of fresh air for her. Certainly as a heel, I would argue this is definitely her best match. I think having someone who is so innately babyface as Hanan works really well for her, because she's got someone that she can beat around the ring. People are naturally going to cheer for Hanan. They are naturally going to boo Tekla for trying to hurt Hanan. I think overall, all of the dynamics were perfect in this match. So overall, big success for her. Moving
Rob,
on.
real quick, before we go to the next match, I just want your opinion on something, because you're very smart. And do you think that Tekla took the hair and tanning budget from her mentor, Julia? Because she's been so tan, so fantastic in shape, which Julia obviously was, and her hair has been absolutely fantastic. So do you think that she was like, you know what, Julia's not here anymore. We need to up the tanning game and the hair game in Stardom, and I think she took that as a personal challenge.
I think it's probably something to do with it, yes, definitely. I imagine that sort of Bushiroad and Rab, we haven't got Julia anymore, we have got all of this spare cash. Who wants a spray tan? And before they could even finish the word tan, Tech was like, I'm on it, bring it here. Yeah, she looks incredible. She does have a certain aura about her, and I think it's just the confidence that she carries herself with, which has never been an issue for Tekla. But yeah, the confidence she carries herself with really does ooze when it comes to this. She's doing really, really well. Koguma and Starlight Kid then. This was Starlight Kid's, I believe it was a 22nd birthday the next day. And 2 points was probably top of her agenda in terms of presence. And she got it here. And again, Koguma showcasing exactly why me and you were so excited for her to be in this tournament. She's doing some of the best work alongside Hazuki as FWC. And here in this tournament, she has showcased again why. Do you know what? Yeah, there's little bits of comedy here and there. But ultimately, I am still a damn good wrestler, and by God did she prove it here with Starlight Kid.
Not only that, but like with the new gear that her and Hazuki debuted when they won the tag team championship back in May for the third time, she looks fantastic. She looks like she's in the best shape ever. I noticed that when she was coming to the ring, that her core is more like cut, so you can tell like, she's spending time in the gym. She's probably, watching what she eats. Not that she wasn't in great shape before, but she looks like she's in better shape here. And then even with the Sherry match, I think I text you right afterwards. I'm like, man, Kaguma's somebody. They're like, oh, cool, she's in the tournament. She's great. I'm like, oh, damn, she's having a great tournament. Again, not only in ring, but she just looks like a more confident, better version of herself. This match starts out, we get the bear dance, and once we get 2 or 3 minutes in, I'm like, yeah, Koguma and Starlight Kid have great chemistry together. They had great matches in 2021 for the high speed championship, and they're better wrestlers now, especially Starlight Kid. She's on a completely different level. These two don't miss. This was fantastic. You get the bear dance, you get some fun, you get the comedy, we're having a good time, and then they try to almost like out sneak each other with a quick roll up. Like, oh, we're gonna have a quick match here. We don't, considering the fact that I thought this match was gonna end at 1 minute and it goes over 13, which I thought was great because there's a lot of really cool stuff here in the beginning that teases you're going to get a fast fall, but we don't. This match really builds as Starlight Kid tries for the leg crusher submission. Every time she does, Koguma, again, she knows Starlight Kid's tricks, is able to get to the ropes, but Starlight Kid just stays on that knee. Apron dragon screw leg whip, which I'm never not a fan of. I think that move is so cool, especially when you're using part of the ring as a weapon to assist you. I thought that was great. Kaguma's able to come back with a hot shot that clothesline Starlight Kid throat first, sending Starlight Kid to the floor. Koguma hits a dive to the floor, throws Kid back in the ring. A beautiful missile dropkick. Another thing with Koguma we're seeing is her anything with her striking game has gotten better. The forearms, the dropkicks. Like, it seems like that she has more of like an impact when she's hitting these moves, which is making her offense look even so much better. Koguma misses a splash, and then Starlight Kid hits a Northern Light suplex for a 2 count. At that point, the crowd, which was already hot, was really, really invested in this match. Koguma goes for a German suplex. Starlight Kid rolls through into the leg crusher submission. We get several roll-ups back and forth for 2.9 that everybody bid on. Eventually, though, Starlight Kid is able to roll through one of the transitions, go back into the leg crusher submission for the tap out at 13 minutes, 35 seconds. I liked how this ending sequence, Rob, it started with Kid trying to go for the leg crusher submission. Koguma's able to basically get a little bit of leverage, and they roll back and forth for the 2.9s over and over again. And then it ends with Starlight Kid going back to what she was trying to get into, the leg crusher submission. She's eventually able to get her foot over to Koguma's throat. That is basically locking in the leg crusher submission for the finish. 4 1/4 stars for me. I thought this was great. Starlight Kid, again, another one you could throw in the hat of MVPs of this tournament, and it's making Koguma look like more of a serious wrestler when she needs to be. I'm so impressed with Koguma is doing in this tournament, my friend.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more. This is easily her best singles match of 2024. In fact, it's probably her best singles match that I can remember, certainly. I think she's done really, really well. She has fit in exactly where she's needed to. She hasn't relied solely on the comedy, which I think she was guilty of doing in her last tournament run. Yes, we had the start with Starlight Kid here, where they were doing the poses, but then as soon as it got down to that high-speed stuff, it did make you sit up and go, Jesus, Koguma actually is a really, really good singles wrestler. You know, you can sort of take the match with Miyu Amasaki, that's the sort of comedy side, but when, you know, her back's to the wall, she, like here, and then against Syuri again on I believe the 20th? Yeah, it was the show from the 20th, wasn't it? Again, another example of Koguma's back to the wall. She is going to pull it out of the hat, and credit to her. I'm really happy that she's in the tournament this year. Poor Saki Kashima. Saki Kashima versus Risa Sera. Oh, this really did make me laugh for a number of reasons. You know, Risa is quite a scary person, I imagine, to stand across the ring from, whether it's because of the scarred back or what she puts her body through. But Saki starts her advert for E-Fist of the North Star, and Risa Sera makes a move towards her, and it's very obvious to everybody else that she makes a move to see what is on the advertising board. Saki freaks and immediately charges backstage. No, I've had enough of this. No. So eventually, Risa Sera drags her back, plops her in the middle of the ring and says, no, I'm just intrigued by what you have to say. Please continue. And then starts giving her a bloody critique of her delivery. Like, speak louder, speak more confidently. So Saki's like trying desperately to deliver this. And then at the end, obviously, Risa Sera is clapping. And then obviously we get the match. So she eats a giant swing, Saki Kashima. Eventually sort of rolls out of the ring because she's that dizzy she can't move, rolls from the ring, staggers backstage again. Daichi is having none of it, sends Rani Agami, who's ringside, to go and get her, drags her out, gives her a bucket to be sick in, which she does later on. Overall, it's just a really quite funny match. Is it a match that I'm going to remember at the end of the tournament? No, absolutely not. However, Risa Sera played her part really, really well, which is quite refreshing when you think, you know, as I said at the start, she's quite an imperious, imposing person to be standing across the ring from. I think watching her lock a very limp Saki Kashima in a Boston Crab who just is not moving, it really tickled me. And I think overall, the match worked really well. Apparently, by the way, this was an advertising board on a pole match because after the victory, Risa was awarded the advertising board by Daichi. Had no idea what to do with it, so just smashed it over Saki and walked off. Overall, in terms of matches of little consequence, this was really quite entertaining, Matt.
Mr. Goodwin, as always, great insight. However, you're forgetting about the most important part of this match. That when Risa Sera had Saki Kashima the giant swing, Saki still had her hands on the advertising board and was Which again, I've been in giant swings before, not too many of them. They're scary enough to begin with because you're getting dizzy. You don't know where you're going to land. You don't know if you're going to be sick. And not only is she holding on to it, she's holding it above her head. Like, I may as well get every single second out of this advertising material.
Love it.
And then I like the finish. You think that Saki's, and this is the genius that Saki Kashma's, you think she's going to finally get it with the Kishika side, but Risa Sayre is able to roll through and then stack Saki on her own finish to get the win. I had it at 3.5 stars, but I rewarded it another quarter star just because of how damn entertaining it was. What I like most in wrestling is the entertaining, the hard hitting, or the storytelling you're giving me like on a Mayu match, or again, the hard hitting that we got in Momo and Tomoka Inaba. But I was really entertained. And again, these two wrestlers are really, really good. Saki obviously does more of the comedy. Risa's more of, the hard hitter. And they played the yin and yang storyline really, really well. Again, I bumped it up a quarter star just because how damn entertaining it was in a different way. Really good stuff. And the fact that poor Saki Kashima had to wrestle like 10 minutes. Not the whole entire tournament, folks. Not the weekend, but for one match. Like, what are you doing to poor Saki Kashima? I hope she got bonused at the end of the show. Well, I think she did because she's getting some of that sweet T-shirt money that she's advertising with the video game. By the way, buddy, you have said that Fist of the North Star 10 so many times that I think they should be sending you a royalty check. I'm just saying.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think it's disgusting that they haven't. And I will be having words with someone. My thing with Saki, my thing with Saki is that, and I've said this before, she is naturally funny. And because she constantly changes it up, you put that advertising gimmick with any other wrestler and it would be the same thing match after match after match. And it's again, we talk about it all the time, that law of diminishing returns. It loses an element of being funny every time you do the same thing. But Saki adapts it to whoever she is in the ring with. We see it completely disregard it entirely against Saya Kamatani because she's made this pledge that whenever it's a member of Hate or whenever it's a member of Oedo, she's going to fight and she's going to fight properly. And I love that. I love the fact that she's constantly changing it up, and it's because she does this that she genuinely is really, really, really funny. And that's where I think like Tori Yano, 2017, 18, 19 in those G1 climaxes where he'd do different things, like his match with Zack Sabre Jr., where he attempts to tape him to the guardrail and he ends up having to drag the guardrail into the ring and just doing those different things, just to keep it fresh. Saki Kashima's not going to win the tournament. Spoilers. I'm sorry, Matt. I know that hurts. I know. I'm sorry.
You have Momo and Tam making the playoff, and you're wrong on there. Folks, get all your money. Anyway, go ahead, Robin.
Can you imagine? I imagine people would lose their minds over that. I'd be more than happy to see Saki Kashima. To be fair, the story's there.
Not only that, but only one of these wrestlers has a new sponsorship going into this tournament. And it's Saki Kashima. Anyway, continue, brother.
I'd love her to go into Ryogoku against Natsuko Tora in full MMA gear with the Fist of the North Star ads all over her shorts and her gloves, like a proper UFC fighter.
And temporary tattoos like the Neo Genesis as well.
What are you talking about? They're real.
Anyway.
She's not going to win the tournament, unfortunately. However, she makes her matches so entertaining that I don't care. I do look forward to her matches because she genuinely makes me laugh. And that's credit to her, to be fair. Credit to her. Moving on then to the main event. Miyu Amasaki main eventing in her hometown. Turns the crowd against Saori Anou, by the way, by doing a little Kyoto chant. And then, I don't know who it was at ringside, but basically, Miyu Amasaki is chanting Kyoto, Kyoto. The Kyoto crowd are obviously chanting it as well. And then Miyu says, "Where are you from, Saori?" And she goes, "Chiga." And there's nothing apart from one person at ringside. And I don't know who it is, but tries to get a Shiga chant going. And it's one person that gets it going. And it's that funny that even Saori Anou smiles. Even the Ice Queen herself, Saori Anou, smiled at it. Overall, another great performance from Saori Anou, who, we've already said is someone else you could put in the conversation of MVP, certainly in Blue Stars A group, in Blue Stars B. No, Blue Stars A. It is Blue Stars A. In terms of Blue Stars A, she's definitely been one of the MVPs. However, I think Miyu Amasaki did a great job here being that hometown babyface.
Yeah, I thought this was a really, really good match. Again, the fact that this went 10 minutes, we now know that we can put Miyu Amasaki in these 10, 12-minute matches, especially in her hometown, because she's a draw. We've seen her getting wins in main event matches in KBS Hall before, so you know that it's going to work. Again, Miyu Amasaki is somebody that we have a new fresh coat of paint on, and somebody that's really benefiting from this neogenesis. Then again, everybody is, especially us, the fans, because we're the real big winners here. Soriano, she's just absolutely terrific. And again, the fact that she's kind of coming into this tournament with a little bit of sympathy because she was hot potato, that Wonder of Stardom championship. Now she doesn't have a Stardom singles championship. Obviously, again, she's 1/3 of Artists of Stardom championship, but she's not a singles champion. She's somebody that is looking like she's going to go far in this tournament, regardless of whatever happens, whether she makes it to the playoff, whether she gets bounced out of the quarterfinals. Soriano's somebody that we can peg for a maybe future World of Stardom championship match. Who knows? Maybe Tora does defeat Tam and then beats down Tam afterwards, and Soriano comes out for the save, and that's where we go with our next World of Stardom championship match. That's a possibility, but Soriano is terrific. She's fantastic in this tournament. Miyu Amasaki already looks really good. She pulls Miyu Amasaki up to look even already better in her hometown, ultimately to beat her, which is just the genius psychology of any good wrestler. You want to take a wrestler and make them look as good as possible, especially if you're going over them, because at the end, it's you that ultimately look the best. Great stuff here. I liked how in the closing parts of this match, it looks like Miyu Amasaki is going to pull out the win in the main event of her hometown. If this was any other venue, Rob, I would have thought that Soriano is definitely winning this match. And I did have Soriano on my pre-match predictions, which we'll get into how I fared in this show, as the winning this match. But as we're in the middle of this match, I'm like, they could put Miyu over here. Just the way this match was building, how great Soriano is making Miyu look, and the fact that we're in Miyu's hometown, which they drove that point home. Let's send the fans home happy. And regardless, even though she lost, the fans did go home happy because, one, it was a great main event. Two, it was a great match. And ultimately, it was the German suplex into the Tom's Tundra for the 3 count. Solid match, solid main event to end the show. 4 stars for me, Rob Goodwin.
Yeah, I thought it was a great match. Again, both women did tremendously well. I think Miyu Amasaki is someone who you can certainly look at as a future, maybe not red belt or white belt champion, but certainly as an upper mid carder. And I think putting her alongside Starlight Kid and alongside Azumi and Neo Genesis, I think really has benefited her. She's got the confidence. You can see that in the way she carries herself, the way she is with the group, the way she is in ring, you know, the way she took control of those early segments where she's trying to get the Kyoto chant going and embarrassing Soriano for daring B from Shiga. I think overall she's done tremendously well. Massive leaps and bounds forward from a debut as you'd hope. And now that she's sort of free of the injuries that she was struggling with, she's another one. You know, we talk about tackler. Miyu Amasaki is another one who seemed to not be able to get at the start of her career a long run together because she was constantly suffering with injuries. So thank God that is over, touch wood, and she's having an extended run because she's doing really, really, really well.
Speaking of doing really well, Rob Goodwin.
Oh,
Look at that. Yes. We had 6 matches on this show. My wife went 4 for 6, putting her at 27 points. That's pretty impressive. But your Uncle MT went 5 for 6, putting him at 26 points. We are closing the gap, my man. We are closing the gap as we get into the show from the 18th.
I mean, to be fair, you should be closing the gap because you watch this promotion. You should know this.
You're my tag partner. I just pump myself up to let me down. That's like me and Andy had our tag, and 90% of the time I take the heat. He comes in for the hot tag. That's like he comes in, he bumps the 2 heels. He bumps the manager that was cheating. He bumps the second that's cheating, and then I come in and hit him with a clothesline. Like, why would you do that?
I'm sorry.
I'm a sensitive guy, Rob. You hurt my feelings. And the only way that you can make me feel better is if we talk about some 5-star action.
I mean, to be fair, we've already established that I am slowly but surely turning heel on this podcast. So
you did it with your girlfriend. Now you might as well do it with me.
Exactly. Once it's that hate thing. Once you get that little bit in you, it's like the black suit from Spider-Man. It's like the.
I was going to say it. The Venom
Exactly. It's contagious, guys. Right, moving on anyway to night number 6 of the 5-star Grand Prix, Sunday the 18th of August 2024. This one is from, not Kyoto, that's the wrong one. I've got the wrong one loaded. I apologize. Give me 2 seconds.
Kobe.
It is from Kobe. It's from the Kobe Arts Center in Hyogo. 501 people in attendance. It's a Red Stars only night, and the results are as follows. Red Stars A group, Maika moves to 8 points, defeating Ruaka with the Michinoku driver in 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Currently the only, I believe, 100% record left in the 5-star Grand Prix due to Sai Kamatani losing to Saki the night after this. Red Stars A action, Hazuki defeated Yuna Mizumori with the vertical drop brainbuster in 10 minutes and 21 seconds. Red Stars B, Mei Sarah defeated Saya Ida with the reverse shooting star in 7 minutes and 26 seconds. In a singles match, Natsuko Tora put down a very spirited Aya Sakura with the new move that she's debuted, her version of the figure 4 lead lock, the Grand Deathlock, in 9 minutes and 3 seconds. Red Stars A, Natsupoi defeated Konami with the Fairy Ring in 7 minutes and 39 seconds. Red Stars B, Momo Watanabe finally got her first win of the tournament, going 1-4, defeating Tam, who goes 0-4 with the Grand Deathlock in 13 minutes and 21 seconds. And then in your main event, Azumi moves to 8 points, defeating Mayu Iwatani for the first time in her career in singles action with the Azumi Sushi in 9 minutes and 34 seconds. Matt, how did you rate? We've sort of raved a little bit about how well Ruaka is doing. How well do you think she did against Maika here?
After this match, I was like, Ruaka and Yuna Mizumori had the 2 best singles matches I've ever seen them have against Maika, which tells me 2 things. One, Mike and Ruaka and Yuna are really, really improving and really taking this tournament seriously. And 2, Maika is doing a great job making sure every wrestler looks as great as they can. That is the mark of a great champion and a great main eventer that Maika is. Obviously, I will pull back my statement on Yuna Mizumori once we get into the Hazuki match, because that was the best match I've ever seen Yuna have. I thought this was great. She gave Ruaka a lot. The pacing was really good. A lot of this match seemed to be centered on Saya Kamatani doing just a little bit of cheating on the outside to elicit the boos. Again, it's the first match. The crowd's warmed up. They're hot. They're ready to go. They're seeing Maika, main eventer, a big star in Stardom in match number 1. So she's just doing a little where you're seeing these glaring stares between Maika and Saya Kamatani. And I'm like, ooh, well, Maika really hasn't said much after Saya basically, pardon the language, screwed her out of the World of Stardom Championship back just about a month or so ago. So I'm like, okay, here we're going. Now we're planting the seeds. Is this possibility for the finals? This could possibly be the finals because one's in Red Stars and one's in Blue Stars. That's a very good possibility. It's actually my final. So this is what we're going to see. The story's there. We built towards it here. Not only that, we're building towards that damn lunch crate, milk crate thing. Ruaka goes to hit Maika with it. However, Maika fires up and said, oh no, absolutely. And eventually just lariats Ruaka, puts her down with the Michinoku driver. Rob Goodwin, truth be told, I actually, in my pre-show prediction, I had Ruaka winning this because of the fact that Ruaka only had 1 point and Maika had 6. And I thought once we started seeing this cheating a little bit from Saya Kamatani, I'm like, oh, this is the way it's going to go. But it didn't. Very much like the Konami match, we built up the object, the foreign object that we see these members of Hate using to cheat to get the wins. But it almost seems like Maika is not only building herself back up, but she's building herself back up not only against the members of Hate, but against the foreign objects that they use to cheat. That is not working. It didn't work with Konami, kind of backfired. Didn't work with Ruaka, kind of backfired. And I really like the story we're doing on building Maika back up. And ultimately, in the end, she puts Ruaka down with her big finish, the Michinoku driver, and then stares a hole into Saya Kamatani, because ultimately that's the match we're going with. Again, It may not be for the finals of the tournament. It may be. It may just be a big singles match that we build towards Ryogoku. That's a possibility as well. But regardless, the story's there. They've planted more seeds. Ruaka looked great here, and Micah did a good job making sure Ruaka can look as good as she can. 3 3/4 stars for me, my man. I thought this was terrific.
Yeah, again, another good performance. Did exactly what she needed to. Did she look like the most dominant heel in the world? No, but I think she did enough. It surprises me a little bit that Micah is unbeaten at the moment. Of course, she does have Hazuki next, coming up on the 23rd, so that might not last, of course. But at the moment, she remains the only 100% wrestler in the tournament. Pretty much has guaranteed her quarterfinal spot. It would take a calamity for her not to qualify because she already holds the tiebreakers over pretty much everyone. I mean, Natsupoi's on 6 points. She holds the tiebreaker over her. Konami on 4 points holds the tiebreaker over her, but Konami can only get to 6 anyway. So I think Micah is actually through. I'd be very surprised if she doesn't get through. Manami, has she wrestled Manami yet? Is Manami the other one she's got to wrestle? Hazuki and Manami.
Yeah, I think it's just those two. Hold on, buddy. I have the schedule literally right in my notes here. Micah Hazuki is the 23rd. The 25th is Micah and Manami. So, yeah, that is that Sunday. That's the final night.
So, unless she loses to both Hazuki and Manami, and Manami gets the victory over Natsupoi, then, again, it's very, very unlikely that Micah will not be one of the names in the quarterfinals, but a very strong start for her. It does eliminate Ruaka, however, who is now 5 matches in and only has that one solitary point. She faces Yuna Mizumori on the final night of block action. Yuna Mizumori, of course, who is also eliminated because of her loss to Hazuki here. What a fantastic undercard war of attrition this was. Hazuki, who has had good matches, went into another gear here with Yuna Mizumori, and Yuna Mizumori was all for matching that ferocity, Matt, wasn't she?
Yeah, match starts off the best way possible for me. Big lockup. Hazuki just starts to overwhelm Yuna with her strikes. She tries for the boot scrape early on, but Yuna Mizumori was absolutely not having it as Hazuki comes off the rope for the face wash. Yuna just clotheslines Hazuki almost out of her boots. Hazuki's had enough at this point. Yuna decides to be like, you know what? I'm going to poke the bear a little bit more. I'm going to get into a forearm trade-off with Hazuki. People's Champ has none of it. We go into full Hazuki mode activated, and then Hazuki just really starts ramping up the violence. But then Yuna was like, the heck with it. I'm not only going to ramp up the violence, she starts out Hazuki with some of the kicks, with the forearms, with the lariats. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, Yuna is really, really bringing it to Hazuki. I mean, this was terrific. She hits the sit-out DVD for 2 count. She goes for that running lariat off the second rope, but when she turns around, Hazuki catches her in a code breaker. I'm like, that's a great counter there. I thought that was great. Yuna Mizumori is able to, Hazuki misses the top rope senton. Yuna hits a pair of brutal sliding lariats for a 2 count. Then Yuna picks up Hazuki for the electric chair slam. Hazuki gets out of it, hits a backstabber, and just this brutal pump knee and pump kick. Eventually, though, Hazuki comes over for another pump kick. As she's going, Yuna's like, no, I'm not done yet. Hits this insane lariat to Hazuki that I even bet. I'm like, maybe that's how they're going to finish this match with like a TKO, because like Yuna's really bringing it to Hazuki. Hazuki eventually brings it back, just stiff strikes back and forth. Eventually, though, Hazuki hits a top corner code breaker. She hits the senton for a 2 count. Hazuki, though, stays on Yuna like a smart that smells blood in the ocean, because there was some hard way bleeding in this match here from the nose of one Yuna Mizumori, and I think the lip of Hazuki got split open as well. Hazuki, though, finishes Yuna off with a brain buster. This was absolutely fantastic, and again, Yuna has had the 2 best matches of her career in this tournament with Micah, and then as good as that match with Micah was, I really enjoyed this match with Hazuki. This was the definition of what will go down as a hidden gem in this tournament. And Yuna had a great match with Natsupoi as well. Don't get me wrong. This is the best Yuna Mizumori match I've seen or have ever. And this is my favorite Hazuki match of the tournament thus far. Obviously, we still have Maika and Natsupoi, so those are going to be bangers. 4.25 stars for me, my man. I mean, this was terrific. Violence with great storytelling as well. And the fact that Hazuki had to ramp her violence up to another level to out-violent, Yuna Mizumori just shows us why she's the wrestling machine and the people's champ.
I completely agree on both counts. Hazuki's best match of the tournament, Yuna Mizumori's best match of the tournament. It is make or break time for Hazuki, who is so often the bridesmaid, never the bride. In terms of those big moments, those big matches, she gets so close and yet so far. Here, she's on 6 points. She's second in the block, and her two remaining matches are Maika and Natsupoi. A victory over either one of those pretty much guarantees her tournament. Her tournament carries on into the quarterfinals, especially if she gets the victory over Natsupoi, who's her closest ally. But I really need that victory over Natsupoi because we need people in Stardom. We need Hazuki versus Natsupoi in Ryogoku for that white belt. I'm sorry, it's a non-negotiable. It has to happen. I don't mind if Hazuki beats Natsupoi, then goes out immediately in the quarterfinals. Don't mind. We need her to beat Natsupoi, and we need her to go on and win that white belt in Ryogoku. I'm sorry, it just needs to happen. Meisera and Sayarida Mats. Again, another installment of Meisera having blinding matches.
Not only that, but Saida as well. I mean, this match starts out fast, and the crowd is really hot right from the get-go. I like how Saida is like, okay, I'm a fast wrestler. I'm nowhere fast as May. How am I going to slow her down? Let me try to slow her down with some chops. And she can't chop May. She can't chop her, and she's getting frustrated. Eventually, she gets the chop, but May turns it around, uses the high-speed offense. And she does that spot. We've seen it all the time. It looks like the opponent is getting set up to get hit with the 619. And May runs from one side of the ring to the other, and one fell swoop jumps over the top rope and hits a running dropkick on the apron. I just think that is like so impressive. Partner, I got to ask you, did you see this? Saida, we're going to put Saida in a different category. Saida is forearming Meisera so hard that Saida's hair is falling out. Did you notice that?
I literally, in my show recap you can check out all the show recaps on the StardomCast.com. These are my exact words. So, still grasping at a chest, May locks Saya in the ropes and it's a dropkick on the apron, following this with a springboard dropkick when the action returns to the ring. May looks for a German suplex, but eats a forearm, which ends up initiating a strong forearm exchange between the two, some apparently being that strong that they dislodge Sayarida's hair extensions. Yes, it did tickle me a lot.
I love it. I love how Saida, and I mentioned this past year, Saida uses the shoulder tackle quite a bit. But in a lot of these matches this past year, she either uses a second rope tackle or a top rope tackle. She uses a second rope tackle to use a top rope tackle. And that reminded me very much of Momo Watanabe's Wonder of Stardom Championship run, where she would use the second rope Samato and then go to the top rope for the third rope Samato. I'm like, hey, again, if you're going to copy a wrestler, why not, at least the psychology of it, why not copy one Momo Watanabe from 2018, 2019? But I like how, again, second rope tackle builds to the third rope tackle. I thought that was really, really cool. Saida blocks that checkmate. That checkmate move when Meisera debuted it, I believe it was at All-Star Grand Queendom and that blinding four-way tag match. Like, man, that's a great move. I think she's hit it twice since then. I think it's just been well scouted because it gets blocked so many times. Poor Meisera. But regardless, it gets blocked at the checkmate. Poor Meisera, not only does it get blocked, but she eats a pair of lariats from the gorilla, which I thought was great. That goes into she goes for the Itabashi. That gets blocked into the shooting star, but then the shooting star gets rolled through into the Itabashi. And I like that. It's like, okay, here are our flash pinfalls. Let's counter the one to get to the other, and then we're countering the other to get to the other wrestlers. I thought that was great. And again, very much like in a match with Momo Watanabe, Meisera does this move where she jumps up, upside down, spins her body 180 degrees, catches you, and some sort of sunset flip to use it into her version of the Rolling Star. I had it at 4.25 stars, but because of very much like the Momo Watanabe match, the insane contrived body control of not only Mei Seira but Saida, because I enjoyed the finish that much more. Again, not only with the Itabashi being countered and the shooting star being countered and then that great finish, I actually bumped it up to 4.5 stars. Saida is just on the run of her life here, and Mei Seira as well. Again, Mei Seira is somebody that we've seen in main event matches, in tag matches, in Artists of Stardom matches, in high-speed matches, but she's really taking this toward to saying, you know what, you can put me in a main event match and I can make a main event high-speed style match work and get over. And if they would have put this match on last, as great as Azumi and Mayu was, and we'll get into it, I don't think anybody would have been upset with this being the last match, because again, this was great. 4.5 stars for me. These two wrestlers are absolutely knocking it out of the park.
They really are. You're absolutely right. Moving on to Natsupoi and Konami. This loss eliminates Konami. She's wrestled 5 matches. She's only on 4 points. A victory would take her to 6, but she's lost matches to both Natsupoi and Maika. Those tiebreakers don't effectively. They do eliminate Konami from proceedings. Natsupoi, another strong showing for the Fairy Princess. It's going to be interesting to see how she attacks the match with Hazuki, though. I think that is the match that we're all now waiting for, Matt.
Yeah, this was a great match, and very much like the psychology with Konami and Maika, that Konami is getting in trouble here from the Natsupoi. Let's call it like we see it. Let's build it up properly, partner.
Absolutely.
And she goes to bring the spray can in, and very much like how Maika lariats it out of Konami's arm, that Natsupoi's like, I don't know if I can kick the can out, but I know I can kick her head. And wherever the head goes, the body will follow, because she just hits that spin kick right into Konami's head, and Konami does a great job selling and putting over that spin kick that eventually leads to she does the fairy gift, but eventually reads into the Ferial Ring, which we don't see Natsupoi use that move that often. It's a really cool looking finisher. Either the match was really good. It didn't wear out its welcome. Went just a tad under 8 minutes. I think Konami looked great here. They had some great exchanges with Konami's armbar into Natsupoi's armbar. Konami striking against Natsupoi's speed. It was an easy story to tell. The cheating got involved just a little bit, because we didn't overdo the cheating until we get to the next match. Just enough, just a little bit to get some heat onto Konami that ultimately backfires, and we get Natsupoi with the win. Another solid match from these two great wrestlers. I had it at 4 stars.
Moving on then, we move on to the semi-main event. Momo Watanabe obliterating Tam Nakano, winning with Natsukatori's Grand Deathlock as the dissection of Tam Nakano's knee continues. I know you mentioned the fact that the cheating intensified in this match. I do not mind at all in regard to this match, because it serves a wider story. Hate are specifically targeting Tam, and they want to weaken her as much as is humanly possible, physically and mentally, ahead of this match with Tora. I had no problems with the interference in this match.
Yeah, I see your point. I actually, I was really sitting on the edge of my seat for this match, because I picked this match to go the old TLD, my man. And as it was counting down, I'm like, I need this point. I need this point in my, again, you think that I should be running away with it, and you're disappointed, and I apologize. But the way this match starts out with Tam hitting the violent shooting as soon as the bell rings, you can tell that Tam has the sense of urgency. She needs to get some points in this match. I'm like, there's no way this is going 15 minutes if it's starting this fast. I see your point with the cheating, but there was so much of it in front of the referee. Especially, like, again, Tam hits his violent shooting. Momo goes right out to the crowd outside as soon as the bell rings. Tam goes for her signature top rope high cross body to the floor. And I'm like, oh man, we're starting this baby out hot. There's 3 members of Hate on the ring outside. All 3 members of Hate grab Tam's legs to stop her from doing the dive. Don't you think would have had at least one of the members distract the referee so he didn't see it? He's staring right at them. Right? And granted, they're not hurting Tam just yet, but they're still interfering. So don't you think, like, when that spot happened, don't you think somebody had been like, hey, somebody get the referee so he doesn't see us cheating? So it was like, oh. Then there was the point where the crate hits Daichi in the back of the head. what do you think happened here? Like, what do you think happened? I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, there was so much, and it's Tam and Momo. It's a great, especially with this start. I was like, holy geez, no way this is going 15 minutes. And then the heat is long, and it's really, really good because it's Momo kicking away at Tam's leg. Against Tam's level of selling in this tournament, especially in this match, is next level. You're really buying into it, and we're building Momo up as a killer. We already know Momo's a killer. Plus, she already has this advantage on Tam because all the members are hate there. I get it. Natsupoi just wrestled, so she's cannot be out for this match. Soriano, she's not on this card. She's not there. Aya Sakura just got beat up by Natsukatora. I understand she's not there. Yuna Mizumori is the only person in Tam's corner, literally. And a lot of this match is Tam getting pitched to the floor and getting beat up by all the members of Hate. Again, why can't Yuna do something? That kind of annoyed me. And I made this reference before when we talked about Sherry versus Konami at the show that happened right before the 5-star started. Again, if me and Rob are in a bar and somebody comes up to Rob and he starts a fight with him, and Rob's waylaying on this guy, right? I'm sitting at the bar. I'm like, yeah, buddy, you get him. He's waylaying on this guy. And 3 of this guy's buddies come over and jump Rob, and they start putting the boots to him. And now it's a 4-on-1 advantage. What kind of a friend am I if I'm just on the bar going, come on, buddy. You can get up, come on, let's get up. And then I go to the jukebox and I play some Slayer or something. I'm like, and you're like, dude, you didn't help me out. I'm like, of course I did. I played Slayer to pump you up. That didn't help you. Like, Yuna Mizumori's just standing there or sitting there smacking on the apron. Like, just maybe go over to Ruwaka and tell Ruwaka, hey, kick me into the stomach and post me. At least it shows I'm trying to do something. And then you're building up more sympathy for Yuna and making Ruwaka or whoever look more of a heel. So I was like, again, it's a great match. It's Momo and Tam. And then Tam fights through the pain on the leg. Like, I like how she goes for that top rope knee drop that she does, only for Momo to roll out. And when Tam hits, Tam crashes. She crashes and burn on that knee strike, which I thought was great. And then Tam eventually fires back up with the kicks. Like, she's kicking the leg out. Like, anytime she would do something with the kick, he hit a kick trio, but couldn't capitalize because of the damage done to the leg. Eventually, you see her just punching on the leg to get the knee to get the circulation going. She hits the violent screwdriver, only for the ref to get pulled. Again, maybe a little bit too much interference. We get the bat shot, we get the punk kick, and then Momo locks in the grand death block, and then the time's counting down. And I'm like, and the reason why I had this going to a time limit drop, partner, is because we have Momo and Tam with both with 0 points, both eliminated from this tournament, but both with championship matches coming up. So you need to keep both of them somewhat strong. So I thought that this was going to the TLD. You hear the time counting down as we're getting close. And then she locks her in the grand deathlock. And I didn't know how much time had passed. I thought maybe we had 30 seconds left. But eventually Tam passes. I had this match at 4 1/4. Rob, you're a teacher, so you understand about giving extra credit, right? I had it at 4 1/4 stars. I took away a star rating and brought it down to 4 stars because of all the interference, especially the ones in front of the referee, especially when Tam's getting pulled, like when she's trying to go for the high crossbody, and especially when Daichi gets whacked in the head with the milk crate. Like, why aren't we calling a DQ? However, I added a 1/4 star back just because of Momo's sneakiness, her ability not to get caught from the referee, and Tam selling, and her levels of selling, and the psychology of selling that got the crowd white hot for this match. So I added back a 1/4 star. I had it at 4 1/4 stars. I thought it was a terrific match. Again, I don't mind the cheating, but so much of it happened in front of Daichi. Again, he threw an illegal object at Daichi's head. Like, what? Like, you had 84. Like, if you're going to do something like that, if you wanted to throw the crate and hit Tam, have somebody distract the referee. You have all the members of Hate there. And again, the fact that Yuna Mizumori, who I just talked about how great she's been, have her do something. Like, she's just getting beat up by all these members of Hate. It could have been something so simple as when they're beating up Tam or they're interfering, go over to somebody, try to grab them, make it look like you're going to hit them, and just say, hey, kick me or hit me and then post me. Do something so she's just not sitting there and watching the leader of her faction get beat up. Regardless, great match. More building towards Tam and Tora, which is ultimately where we're going. We got Momo some points on the board. We're heating her up a little bit for that match with Mercedes. 4 1/4 stars for me, my friend.
Speaking of great matches, another one between Mayu Iwatani and Azumi. I mean, let's be perfectly honest, Red Stars B has been wall-to-wall bangers. There's been no misses at all. And this, like, if you ever wanted to sort of elevate someone, getting Azumi to have her first singles match, her first singles victory in 5 attempts over Mayu Iwatani, who's red hot at the moment in this sort of match. I mean, it's under 10 minutes again, and it is breathless. These two absolutely tear into each other for the entirety of this 9.5-minute match. It's really, really, really good, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it basically starts off very much like their Corkin match at Azumi's 10th anniversary show. Not with a double count out, but what I mean by that is...
the weird double count out.
Yeah, 2 minutes in, can you imagine if you were there? But then they restarted. Anywho, blink and you miss it start is where I was going with this, with eventually Azumi hitting a penalty kick early on. Mayu comes back with a super kick. Eventually, though, Azumi hits a apron kick to Mayu. Mayu spills out to the floor. Azumi does a double stomp while Mayu is on the floor. She pitches Mayu back in the middle of the ring and follows that up with an even grosser double stomp coming off the top rope for a 2 count. She transitions that into an armbar. Some great back and forth action between the two. Mayu eventually hits a superplex and then another super kick. We get some great roll-ups back and forth. Mayu is desperate to hit this 2-step dragon suplex. And obviously Azumi does not want to get hit from that because that pretty much puts everybody down. Mayu with this brutal buzzsaw kick, great near falls back and forth. Ultimately, though, it's this insane Canadian destroyer that leads to a double underhook Canadian destroyer. I see some people calling it the Tiger Driver 91 destroyer into the Azumi Sushi. I mentioned this, before. Azumi's now that looks like we're clearly building Azumi up as a main eventer, and rightfully so. She's using this Canadian destroyer in all of her matches, and she's got different variations of it. Again, we saw the one off the top rope, the avalanche style against Momo. Now she has this double underhook version of it, which I thought was great. This was terrific. Another great match from these two in the tournament. 4 3/4 stars for me, my friend. A great way to end a great and quick show.
Yeah, both these, well, in fact, no, all 3 of the shows that followed the Korakuen Hall show have been really, really quick, have been really blink and you miss it matches. And especially this next one that we're going to be talking about, where there's no YouTube match, but there's also no non-tournament matches either. We are just into that business end of the tournament. I felt made this go really quickly and had that sort of frenetic, frantic energy to it that I am very excited by tournament wrestling for. And we move, of course, to night 7.
Not yet, buddy.
Man, again.
No, you've yet to get this right. You gotta do your ham-fisted segue, buddy. We still got some shows. I had 3. My wife had 3 going into this final show. Amber 30, Matt Turner at 29.
You are closing that gap then, slowly but surely. Like
it was a draw.
It's very, very slowly, but you are closing that gap. I'm proud of you, man. You're gonna get there. I have faith. Moving on then to night 7, Tuesday the 20th of August, Edion Arena, Osaka, number 2. Blue Stars action only, 509 people in attendance. A couple of stats from our friend Armani Shoe Exchange, who says the first time breaking 500 there since June of 2023. And considering that this is the venue that Stardom have run 3rd most behind Korakuen Hall and Shinkiba First Ring, that's it's quite an interesting stat that. It also outdrew their 2023 5-star Grand Prix show there, in spite of it being a 3rd show in 4 days, whereas in 2023 it was the only show from that week. Consider this as well. This was a far weaker show compared to their 2023 show that had Julie versus Azumi, Tam versus Syuri, and Utami versus Mirai. So a very good number to draw, considering there's no Mayu, there's no Tam, there's no Micah, there's no Natsupoi. I think this is a really big win for Stardom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just goes to show you just how red hot this company is. And again, I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that it's the 5-star, which is, obviously their big tournament. I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that you're bringing over a worldwide star in Anna Jay. I don't know if it has something to do with the intrigue of everything going on with Hate. Maybe it's a combination of everything. But again, the fact that they're outdrawing last year's tournament, and you just mentioned it, a tournament that had Mina, a tournament that had Mirai, Utami, Julia, all 4 really, really big stars. And the quality, obviously we're not done yet, is just as good as the 2021 and the 2022 tournament, which are the 2 tournaments that I know are near and dear to our hearts. Just really goes to show you how everybody's upping their game. Not only the Ruwakas and the Yunas, but Mayuri Watani, who's the best, she's the best women's wrestler of all time, and she's going on and putting on one of the best tournament runs that she's ever had. Really just goes to show that everybody's taking this as a personal mission to make it the best tournament all of wrestling, considering the fact that it is in the middle of their tournament season in Japan.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, let's be perfectly honest, Maya Iwatani has been skating by. She isn't exactly that good. Moving on to the results.
What a heel. He's officially turned heel. That's the Hulk Hogan leg drop at Bash Levitz 96 is when he just put down his favorite wrestler.
But whose side is he on, Matt Turner? Blue Stars A, Anna Jay gets her second tournament victory, defeating Miyu Amasaki with the Queen Slayer in 8 minutes and 2 seconds. Blue Stars B saw Risa Sera defeat Rana Yagami with an air raid crash in 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Blue Stars A, Koguma defeated Syuri with a roll-up in 10 minutes and 33 seconds, meaning that Koguma is unbeaten in singles action against Syuri, which is perhaps the most amazing stat to come out of this 5-star Grand Prix. Blue Stars B, Saki Kashima defeated Saya Kamatani, Saya's first tournament loss, with the Kishikasai in 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Blue Stars B, Suzu Suzuki defeated Tekla with the Tequila Shot in 11 minutes and 9 seconds. And then in your main event, Saori Ano defeated Xena with the Pottering in 12 minutes and 31 seconds to go clear at the top of Blue Stars A. Matt, let's talk about Anna Jay and Miyu Amasaki. Blue Stars A, really quite tight. Saori Ano looks like she will probably progress. She's currently on 7 points, currently at the top of the leaderboard. However, Starlight Kid has a match in hand on her. Xena has 2 matches in hand over her. Koguma has 2 matches left. Saori has 2 matches left. Anna Jay only has 1 match left. Miyu Amasaki has got 2 matches left as well. No one is actually mathematically eliminated from Blue Stars A yet, which is a wild statistic. Even Miyu Amasaki can go through. It would take a hell of a lot of weird wranglings in Blue Stars A, but everyone is still capable of getting through just, I believe, in Blue Stars A. But Miyu Amasaki versus Anna Jay. Anna Jay, another really good performance from her, and Miyu Amasaki, a good underdog performance as well, especially considering the power advantage that Anna Jay certainly has.
Yeah, I liked how this match started out with Anna Jay, again, using her size and strength, using the headlock to kind of wear down the faster and maybe more explosive wrestler in Miyu Amasaki. But I like how Miyu, very much we've seen her in these big matches when she gets in trouble. She used one of those 84 versions of the DDT that she does so well to get the advantage back. We saw the tornado DDT, the step-up DDT, the hammerlock DDT, some really good stuff. Again, I made mention on Anna Jay's last match with Xena, using the flatliner into the Koji clutch is something that's really, really entertaining that she does. Again, my guess is she got that from Christopher Daniels, again, an agent in AEW, and the fact that she's using it in a run in Japan, just another weapon in her arsenal. Ultimately, though, this was a great back and forth match that eventually saw Anna Jay able to block the Tensai with the Gory Bomb that sets up the rear naked choke, the Queen Slayer, 8-minute mark. 3.5 stars for me, buddy.
Moving on then, we move to Rana Yagami, getting absolutely battered for 8 minutes by Risa Sera, who took a real savage pleasure in teaching the rookie a lesson, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, Rana starts off this match with, she starts you basically, as soon as the bell rings, big drop kick and an insane head kick to Risa Sera that drops Risa. And Risa did a very good, like, MMA style, like, knockout sell there. Eventually the match goes to the floor, not where Rana Yagami wants to be with Risa Sera. Risa gets the advantage there. Risa sends Rana Yagami chair bowling, and it's nothing but strike after strike from there. Back in the ring we go. Risa Sera with that brutal slingshot double knees to Rana Yagami. We get a forearm exchange back and forth. And again, I love when Risa Sera uses that left-right combination, the boxing style forearms to Rana Yagami, eventually finishing Rana off with the air raid crash. Again, Rana Yagami is somebody in this tournament that's not going to have a lot of wins, but it's having a lot of really good matches. You know, our match with Tekla and Cork and Hall was really good. This was another great outing from Rana Yagami. And Risa Sera climbing up there in ranks with the wins here. Again, she's at 6 points here, getting towards the top of the block, and she has that tiebreaker over last year's winner in Suzu Suzuki. So it's really interesting to see where Risa Sera is going to end up on this tournament. Great match overall. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Absolutely. Risa Sera, of course, who's still got Tekla on that final night in her final block match. So that's going to be really interesting as well, because if she wins that, she does go into the quarterfinals. I don't think anyone can catch her at that point. Moving on to Syuri and Koguma. So, Matt, I don't know if you've ever received a look from someone that instills just all levels of fear in you. There is a moment in this match where Koguma forces Syuri into the Kuma pose, and the look that Syuri gives the camera fills me with such fear for Koguma's life that I just know that something bad is going to happen. And I'm at this point wondering why Koguma is not fearing for her own safety. But rather than do anything about it, she then attempts to do the Kuma pose again. I feel like Koguma is a braver person than I'm at.
Rob, repeat that question you just asked me about 20 seconds ago.
Have you ever had a look that instills fear in you?
You have to remember, buddy, I wrestled the Necro Butcher.
Oh.
I trained.
Yeah, God, true.
I trained with Samoa Joe, and you were there with me when we waited for an elevator with Minoru Suzuki. So, to answer your question, yes. But I like that how she was like, let's do the Kuma dance. And then Sherry's so nice and playful, but when she switches that gear, she is, ass-kicking Sherry. So I thought that was a really cool way to start the match. You had your comedy sprinkled a little bit in between. Ultimately, when this one gets going, which it doesn't take much, this turns into high speed versus high level striking, high level impact wrestling from Sherry. Really good stuff back and forth between the two. Koguma does a great job throwing these German suplexes onto Sherry to try to match almost that technique, that submission and striking technique from the former UFC fighter. Ultimately, though, Sherry is able to really just blitz Koguma at the end of this match with a head kick, that big running knee. She hits the Rouen for a 2 count, and then she tries for another, almost like an airplane spin, like a 360 Rouen, but eventually Koguma is able to, almost very much akin to Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania 3. She's able to kind of roll her up on the way down to get the surprise win. Another great match, not only from Sherry, it's Sherry, but Koguma is really going into this tournament, putting on terrific singles matches. 4 stars for me. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Koguma has 2 wins over Sherry. And Sherry, I don't think has ever beaten Koguma before in a straight-up singles match.
They have 2 matches in singles action, and Koguma has won both. So what a wild stat that is. All of the accolades that Syuri has in Stardom, and she's yet to beat the Bear herself in singles action. Saki Kashima and Saya Kamatani, big fan of the difference and the change-up in the way that Saki attacks this match. Saya Kamatani, her first defeat, and ultimately she falls into the same trap as Tekla fell into with Hanan in just underestimating Saki. Spends too much time messing about, trying to embarrass Saki. Ends up being hit with the Kish Kasai, which we've seen put away so many different people over time. Matt gets the victory.
there wasn't much to this match other than like Saya Kamatani saying, okay, let me try to this new heel role. Saki Kashima's so lovable. She tries to one up Saya Kamatani. Saya Kamatani just kind of just beats her down in almost like a 1980s TV match way. Eventually though, again, yeah, she gets too cocky. She's trying to get her heel stuff in. Again, she's trying out new things. Saki Kashima's an easy wrestler to wrestle against because her strengths and her weaknesses are all right there. You know, you're not going to go out and have the 25-minute Shuri versus Utami match with Saki Kashima because her strengths are in like those quick roll-ups, and she has great strikes, and she does a great double underhook face plant like the Angel's Wings. Ultimately, though, you're right. Saya Kamatani gets a little bit too cocky, gets rolled up with a Kishi Kasai. It was great crowd psychology because they wanted to see Saya Kamatani really because of just how she's being a bully to the lovable Saki Kashima. And what's the best way to humble a bully? Is have him get beat and really kind of in the blink of an eye, which is what happens here. Ultimately, match did what it needed to do. 3.25 stars for me.
We move on then to the semi-main event, which saw Suzu Suzuki deal out some much-needed punishment on Tekla. Now, Matt, you put out a very poetic tweet, which we won't repeat here because we are a PG podcast, but I am in complete agreement with you that Tekla messed about, and boy howdy did she find out with some of those strikes.
To be fair, I didn't say the actual swear word. I just basically implemented it. But yes, basically Tekla messed around with with Suzu Suzuki. And she definitely found out because this match starts out and I mean, it's just hard hitting. And Tekla, again, she's got this really violent nature to her. She's so aggressive and so explosive with those strikes, especially like that running kick to the head that she does while she's on the apron. And it's like, all right, this is Suzu Suzuki. Like, this is the winner of this tournament last year. This is an ass kicker of all ass kickers. You know, eventually this match is going to swing back. And when it does, what's the level of violence going to be? And it was exactly what you thought it was going to be, and then more. Like, Suzu's ear gets busted open. Like, I don't know if it was the eardrum or the earlobe, but she's bleeding from the ear. And when Suzu makes her comeback and she touches her ear and she sees the blood and she feels it, she just has that like disgusting, sick laugh that if you've seen some of her death matches where she's bleeding and she's just like, oh, this is my element. Like, I like this. I like the hard hitting style. I like the taste of my own blood. I like seeing and smelling my own blood because it takes me to another level that most wrestlers can't compete against. And Tekla then just gets out of her element here. And I think even Suzu busts open Tekla's nose and splits her lip or something like that. But these two back and forth, this really, as this match is ramping up, as the violence is like 50-50. Tekla's been doing this new move in this 5-star, which I really like, where her opponent is just getting up and her opponent is kind of like bend over, and Tekla hits a double stomp on the opponent's back. I really like that, considering like Azumi does the double stomp. We see that Mayu has a version of the double stomp. Now Tekla does a double stomp, but she does it different. And I really like that. It just added to the level of intensity that is Tekla, though. Ultimately, though, it's I like how Suzu goes for Suzu eats a spear from Tekla, and then Suzu just fires back up, fighting spirit. She hits that brutal kick trio, and then the tequila shot in the end. This whole match was brutal, especially those last 3 kicks that opens up the door for the tequila shot, stacking Tekla on her neck. This was a great, great, brutal match. 4 stars for me.
There was an interesting moment where at the end of the match, it seems that Tekla is very openly trying to court Suzu for hate. It does only result with a resounding slap across the face, at least for now. I can't tell you how little I want that, if that is the way they're going. Again, I imagine that it's nothing to do with, or it's not anything to be taken too seriously. I know that Suzu basically mocked Tekla for never having beaten her in singles competition. However, might just be something to keep an eye on. I'd be very surprised if there's any more movement on that, because especially with the Neo Genesis group really taking off, I don't think that a move to hate for Suzu Suzuki would benefit anyone at all, Matt, would it?
I would hate that, but I did like that stiff slap at the very end. Not only was this match brutal, but they had a really cool and interesting post-match exchange and the fact that maybe Tekla extended the olive branch for Suzu to join Hate. Suzu, I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. I know that we're overdue. We haven't had any new members of Hate in the past month or so. So we're like, what is going on? But at the same time, what this does, it opens up the door for a Neo Genesis versus Hate feud. Again, you can see maybe Tora, Saya Kamatani, and Tekla taking on Suzu, Mei, and Azumi, or, throw Starlight Kid in there. Again, I mentioned this about with Hanan getting into some very violent exchanges with certain members of Hate, how we can do something with stars in Hate and multi-person matches. And maybe this is what we can do as well with Neo Genesis. It could make for some really interesting multi-person tag matches on the Stardom World shows, building towards bigger matches on the pay-per-views.
Absolutely. Moving on then to the main event, Soriano versus Xena. Xena has been on just another level. Her improvement is absolutely unbelievable. I don't want to see her leave. I hope she doesn't. I saw Velkic put out a tweet. I believe that Xena's in a relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah's Dagger. Velkic was very, very adamant that Dagger should treat Xena very well so that they don't break up and Xena doesn't leave Japan. And I must admit, I want to echo those sentiments because this tournament especially, Xena has been absolutely fantastic, and this match with Soriano was yet another example. Again, such a discerning amount of speed and athleticism, as well as the power, as well as the chops. She's not just a one-trick pony, though. The way that she is able to change that athleticism up, that speed up. She did a damn springboard plancher to the floor in this match. I think she's been fantastic throughout. Another really, really good match for her. And again, she was in control of the match, but it was that pottering that proved to be the difference, as it has so often throughout this tournament, Matt.
Did you see that Xena actually retweeted Velkic's tweet and tagged Daga in it? Did you see that?
I didn't. Did you? That's amazing.
Yeah, she retweeted the tweet and then tagged Daga, and they said, "Yeah, you better treat me, Mel." Like that is such a. I thought that was really, really cool. Yeah, this was great, and I was kind of looking at this card. I'm like, what's going to main event this card? Like, what's going to be on the main event? And when this was, when they were running through the card, I'm like, oh, okay, this is another chance for Xena to prove herself in the main event. And boy, howdy, did she prove herself. The match starts off, big lockup, always going to put that over. Then we get Xena going for the chops onto Soriano. Soriano does a great job feeding and selling for them. Soriano's able to come back with some striking of her own. You mentioned how Xena's doing like a springboard plancha now. I've seen Xena, I think this is the second time she did it in this tournament. Very much how Mayu does the two-step dragon, where she gets you in a waist lock and hoists you up, and then she gets the full Nelson and snaps you over for the dragon. We've seen Xena get somebody up in a waist lock and then throw them in the air and hit a super high angled, like Everest-style German suplex. She did it to Soriano here. I forget who she did it, but I think she did it on night 1 or night 2 of the tournament. I'm like, oh, she should do that all the time now. Maybe even adopt it as her finisher because it's such a brutal looking move. However, I understand not everybody is able to take that move like one Soriano, but yeah, really good stuff here. We get a forearm trade-off that turns into a chop trade-off. Soriano eventually says enough of this forearm and chop trade-off because I'm not going to win this. Takes a step back, hits a big ensiguri, follows up with a missile drop kick. Xena's able to come back with a lumbar check. We get some back and forth, really good transitions back and forth. Soriano, she does a great submission. I don't think we put over enough, where she does a camel clutch but does it like a straight jacket style. I really, really like that. Xena comes back with a stiff headbutt and then the two-step German suplex, as I'm now calling it, for a 2 count. After the German suplex, the crowd was into everything here, but they got really, really hot at that point in time because that's like the biggest move of the match. So now we're going to wind down and towards our finish, which that's exactly what you want to do as a wrestler. Soriano hits a German suplex. Xena pops back up with a huge lariat. Xena then goes for another lariat, but she throws the lariat with so much velocity that she misses, hits the ropes, and then Soriano, just being such a smart wrestler, an IQ wrestler, if you will, and then is able to catch Xena in the pottering for the 3 count. 4 1/4 stars, a great match to end another great show. Mr. Rob Goodwin, what'd you think about it?
Genuinely really enjoyed it. And the fact that Saori Anou used the momentum of Xena missing that forearm or missing that lariat and hitting the ropes and being able to transition that into the pottering, brilliant. No, Xena doesn't look any weaker here for losing that way to Saori Anou. She looked like a damn bruiser throughout this match. Obviously, Anou takes an enormous step toward but confirming her own quarterfinal place, moving to 7 points. It's a big loss for Xena, though, who needs back-to-back victories over both Saori and Starlight Kid to remain in contention. Another loss, and she is pretty much out of contention, which would be a shame. But again, it'll be interesting because Starlight Kid has got Miyu Amasaki on the last night and Xena, I believe. So Miyu Amasaki could potentially play spoiler for Starlight Kid there. Xena, as I've mentioned, has got Starlight Kid and Syuri. Syuri now needs to win back-to-back matches as well. So it's really quite close in Blue Stars A. It's going to be really intriguing who they put for, because someone big is going to miss out on going through to the quarterfinals. Is it going to be Starlight Kid? Is it going to be Syuri? Is Saori Anou going to miss out somehow? It's really quite exciting, Matt. Really exciting.
Yeah, considering the fact that this is the first tournament, that, again, it's the first year that, Mr. Okada is booking. And the fact that he's got, again, different wrestlers. He doesn't have that Utami, that Julia, that Mina to lean on for ticket sales and great match quality. And again, the match quality has been absolutely insane as we're a little more than halfway through. The booking has been really, really good. And you just made mention of a couple different things that can and cannot happen. And it's making really, really interesting. So you got to give Taro Okada his props for booking thus far a great tournament, considering the fact that, one, he's taking over for one of the greatest bookers of all time in one, Rasi Ogawa, and two, this is not only his first year at booking, but this is his first tournament booking as well. And so far, this tournament has been booked really, really well and really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think the 4 blocks have been a success. They've been booked very much like the 2-block system would have been anyway. I am a fan of the fact that we have got red stars on one day, blue stars on another, with the exception of Korakuen opening night and the closing night. Don't mind that at all. I think that works. Overall, I think the structure has been very good. These shows, so, the example, Eddie and Arena Osaka, this show, I believe, was something like 1 hour and 49 minutes, I think, of actual action, which breezes by, and you didn't feel like you were being shortchanged. It just felt like the action was frantic. These 1-block cards have been really, really good, and I hope this is something that they utilise in 5-star Grand Prix going forward, because that was something I always found frustrating about, 2021, 22 and 23, is that you'd have shows with just 2 5-star matches on there, or even just 1 5-star match. You'd have 1 random 5-star match on a pay-per-view. And it's like, why? What sort of momentum is this building? You're losing complete focus on who is where in the block and who's got most points and why does this matter and things like that. And I feel like that was really affecting the tournament negatively. So full credit where credit is due. I do believe that this tournament has been structured significantly better than the past 3. Match quality wise, obviously, 2022 and 2021 were fantastic tournaments. This is up there. I don't think it's quite hit the heights of that tournament yet. However, structurally, big fan of where we are. Before we look at what the preview for Night 8 in Sendai Pit, and before I go
we have to give the result. We have to give the result.
I was getting there, man. I did the transition.
All right, I'll shut up. Go ahead. Do the transition.
No, you've ruined it now. You've ruined it. What is the result?
He's throwing things. Amber 4, Matt Turner 4, going into this weekend. Amber at 34 and me at 33.
I hope you lose.
I cannot wait to go home and tell Amber that. She's going to love you more than she already does.
Moving on to the block standings then. So Red Stars A is as follows. Maika tops the block. 4 wins, no losses, no draws at 8 points. Hazuki 3-1-0 at 6 points is in second. Natsupoi 3-1-0 at 6 points as well. Those two people have got to wrestle each other on the final night. Manami 2-1-1 on 5 points. And then these three are already eliminated. Konami 2-3-0 on 4 points. Ruaka 0-4-1 with 1 point, and Yuna Mizumori 0-4-0 on 0 points. So just to reiterate, the people in contention for those 2 quarterfinal spots are Maika, Hazuki, Natsupoi, and Manami. I would argue that Maika would have to drop a serious clanger to not qualify there. Red Stars B group then. Azumi tops the block with 8 points, 3-0-2. Mayu Iwatani in second, 3-1-0 on 6 points. Tomoka Inaba 2-0-2 on 6 points. Same for Mei Sarah. Sayarita 1 win, 3 losses, no draws on 2 points. Momo Watanabe 1-4-0 on 2 points. Tam Nakano 0-4-0 on 0 points. Sayarita, Momo Watanabe, and Tam Nakano all eliminated from Red Stars B. So again, looking for quarterfinal spots, still in with a shout are Azumi, Mayu Iwatani, Tomoka Inaba, and Mei Sarah. Matt, before I go on to Blue Stars, if you were a betting man, my friend, who are you saying goes through from Red Stars B and Red Stars A?
From Red Stars B and Red Stars A, I'm going to stick with my picks with Mike and Hazuki. Red Stars A. Mm-hmm. Red Stars B, I'm going to say Mayu and Azumi. I mean, the only other really outside shot is you have Natsupoi, but I think just Hazuki defeating Natsupoi on that final night to, again, you're going to get a win over the white belt champion. Not only does that set up a future Wonder of Stardom championship match with Hazuki, not only for Hazuki, but Hazuki versus Natsupoi, but you're going to give Hazuki a lot of momentum going into the playoffs. I just think that with Momo and Tam out, the only other option you have is Tomoka Inaba. And not that I would say no to that, but you have Mayu, the icon of Stardom, and you need a big ticket draw on Red Stars B. You've effectively already eliminated Tam Nakano for obvious reasons that we talked about a few hours ago. So I think you send Mayu into the finals, and we're building Azumi up to be your next big star. And I think there's no better way for Azumi to go deep in this tournament. So I think that would be the way to go. Can I be wrong? Sure. It's a possibility. Like I said, if I'm not wrong at least a dozen times a day, that means I didn't try hard enough. So we'll see, my man. But that, as we're recording this, as we're into this, literally the final weekend of what I guess we'll call the regular season before we get into the playoffs, that would be my guess.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree with you. Obviously, Natsupoi faces Manami on the 23rd, which is the show we're going to look at in a moment. If Manami loses, she's out. So then it will be a straight shootout between Maika, Hazuki, and Natsupoi, with the winner of Hazuki and Natsupoi on that final night in Yamagata going through to the quarterfinals. So I would be surprised if come that show on the 25th, if we aren't looking at Hazuki and Natsupoi, the winner of that match, going through alongside Maika. Blue Stars A then. Saori Anou tops the block, 3-1-1 on 7 points. Starlight Kid, 2-1-1 on 5 points. Then you got a glut of people on 4 points. Xena, 2-2. Koguma, 2-2. Saori, 2-2. Anna J, 2-3 on 4 points. And then Miyu Amasaki, 1-3-0 on 2 points. So again, no one mathematically eliminated from Blue Stars A. You would assume that Miyu Amasaki and Anna J would go out after the next round of matches. It's a tough one to call, especially with Saori Anou being so far in the lead. Xena has got 2 matches, but she's 3 points behind Saori. Koguma has got 2 matches. She's 3 points behind. Same with Saori. Anna J can't catch her with only having 1 match left. I would argue that it's Saori Anou, or Saori Anou, don't know why I keep calling her Saori Anou, and either Starlight Kid, Xena, or Saori. But again, could Koguma cause a surprise? Of course she could. We saw her get the victory over Saori. She holds the tiebreaker over Saori, which could be so crucial. again, really, really tight in Blue Stars A. Probably the tightest block, I would argue.
Yeah, because you have Soriano leading the block, Shuri, Starlight Kid, with Shuri having the tiebreaker over Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid's having a heck of a tournament. Again, I think it's going to be, no disrespect to Anna Jay, Xena, Kagama. I think it's going to be a straight shootout, but I'm going to go with my initial pick and say Soriano and Sherry for Blue Stars A. But again, it's making for a really, really interesting final weekend coming up this weekend, buddy.
I mean, you're absolutely right because, of course, Sherry does have that tiebreaker over Starlight Kid. I mean...
Then you got to look at it this way. Soriano and Starlight Kid, there's no tiebreaker there because they went to the TLD. Shuri and Soriano, there's no tiebreaker there because they went to the TLD as well. So, yeah, that's really, really interesting there where that's going to hang out.
Yeah, Starlight Kid, I think, is the real interesting one there because she has still got Xena, and she's still got Miyu Amasaki to wrestle as well. If she beats Miyu Amasaki, that really, really, really puts the pressure on Xena and onto Shuri as well. Moving on to Blue Stars B then, finally. We have got Saya Kamatani at the top of the block, 3-1-0 on 6 points. Risa Seiya in second, 3-2-0 on 6 points. Hanan and Suzu Suzuki both on 5 points with identical records of 2-1-1. Saki Kashima then with 2-3-0 on 4 points. Tekla 1-3-0 on 2 points. And Rani Yagami 1-3-0 on 2 points as well. Risa Seiya is in a really weird position here because she is level at the top of the block, but her, Hanan, and Suzu Suzuki have only got one match left. Saya Kamatani has 2 matches left. Tekla has 2 matches left. Rani Yagami has 2 matches left. Now, again, no one is mathematically eliminated, I don't think. Oh, no, Rani Yagami is mathematically eliminated because both Saya and Risa Seiya have beaten her and Rani can only get to 6 points. Tekla has Saki Kashima on the final night, and I do stand by the fact that I do think that Saki Kashima beats Tekla on the final night. Tekla could get the victory over Risa Seiya, which means that you have got the winner, you've got the two, Hanan and Suzu Suzuki, to go through with Saya Kamatani. I do think Saya goes through. New heel turn, new character, would make the most sense for her to go through. I would say that it's probably going to be Hanan that goes through from that block, especially if Tekla were to beat Risa Seiya. Who has Hanan got left in the blocks? Let me just have a quick look. So Hanan has got Saya Kamatani. She's got Rani Yagami on the 24th, which you would argue is a must-win and is a probable win for Hanan, which moves her to 7 points. And then she's got Saya Kamatani on the final night. Suzu Suzuki, again, that tie-break loss to Risa Seiya could be so important. She's also got Saya Kamatani and Rani Yagami as well. So, again, another really, really tight block.
And I agree, I think Saya Kamatani's got to be 1-2 go through because of everything they've done with her. And so you look at, I think that Tekla does defeat Risa Seiya, and then Saki Kashima plays spoiler and beats Tekla on that final night. So now we're down to Hanan and Suzu Suzuki. And the one thing that's not clear, partner, is there's no tiebreaker because they went to that double count on night 1. So that's making it really, really interesting. I'm going to say it's Hanan, but flip a coin. Really flip a coin. I mean, it's tough because Hanan's on a roll. Again, she's fantastic, great wrestler. She won the Cinderella tournament. She had a show stealer of a match at All-Star Grand Queendom with Soriano for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. At the same time, Suzu Suzuki is your defending champion. You have this fresh coat of paint on with her, part of this new group that everybody loves in Neo Genesis. So it's a win-win situation. To me, it wouldn't bother me who goes through because they're both excellent as long as the execution's there. And these two are such great wrestlers that they would have to try really hard for the execution to fall in my eyes.
Moving on then, so we've got our final night in Red Block. before the final night, if you like, the penultimate night, let's call it that, from Sendai on the 23rd. Sendai Pit has the following matches on it, all red block: Maika versus Hazuki, Konami versus Yuna Mizumori, Manami versus Natsupoi, and then in B block, Mayu versus Mei Seira. That could be really important. If Mei Seira gets the victory there, she's in pole position to go through alongside Azumi. Momo and Saya and Tam and Tomoka Inaba. A victory for Tam could be really important for Tomoka Inaba because she has to beat Mayu then on the final night to potentially go through, because of course there's no tiebreakers between Azumi and Mei and Tomoka because they all drew with each other. A Momo victory over Saya eliminates Saya Rida anyway. I think she's already pretty much done. Maika and Hazuki could be really interesting. I could see Hazuki potentially sneaking that, I can't see Maika going through the entire block without losing. Can you?
And if you're going to build Maika back up, what the hell, right? Maybe this goes to the TLD, making Hazuki and Poi like a must-win match for either of them. I mean, again, if Maika's going to win this tournament, they never had a tournament where the wrestler didn't eat any else. If you're going to do it and we're going to build Maika back up, maybe that's the way to do it. Or Maika doesn't lose at all and loses in either the quarterfinals or the semifinals. That's a way to go about it. Again, Maika's been so dominant as champion that this would be a great way to build her back up. The fact that she does not eat any losses, again, in what we're calling the regular season, only to lose in maybe the semifinals, that even though she didn't win the tournament, you did a great job building her back up. So, again, it's a possibility regardless of which way they're going about it. Brother, on Friday, we're getting Maika and Hazuki, and I love the fact that I only work half a days on Friday because, as soon as I get done work, I'm coming home and watching this show. And again, not only that, but we also have Tam and Tomoka, Sai and Momo, Mayu and Mei Seira, and just for nice side dishes, Natsupoi and Manami. Manami's having a great tournament. Oh, and Yuna Mizumori, who's crushing it, and Konami. So, yeah, man, I'm happy Friday to everybody. So I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. And don't forget as well, ladies and gentlemen, that the quarterfinals are on the 28th, a week today as we record, a week on Wednesday, 28th of August. Shinjuku face all four of the quarterfinals. So that's going to be really exciting as well. We are really ramping it up towards the business end of this 5-star Grand Prix. Matt, we set out to keep it under 3 hours. We've done a dreadful job, as is per usual, but we've still got the most important part of this podcast. It's only time for Io and Kairi watch.
Sure did, my man. Sure did. Our two former Wonder and World of Stardom champions are challenging Alba Fire and Isla Dawn alongside with Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark for the Women's Tag Team Championship in a 3-way match. Now, folks, Io and Kairi are the clear baby faces in this match for a lot of different reasons, but they got there was like 13,000 people here in this place in Florida, and they were red hot for everything, and Io and Kairi got massive baby face pops. The match starts out with all sorts of chaos with Io and Kairi just dominating the two heel tag teams. Io and Kairi, they go to do that 7 Kairi elbow drop thing where they have basically Io popping Kairi up and Kairi doing almost like a plancha to the floor with the insane elbow. However, Rob, messed it up just a little bit as poor Kairi does not make it all the way to the floor. She actually hits like rib first onto the top rope, but Kairi is so damn good she's able to ricochet herself off the top rope and is able to save the move, and it looks like she basically almost hit a somersault plancha, and then she sells it to the crowd that like this is what I was going to do the entire time and gets a pop. However, as soon as that's over, Io hits a picture perfect suicide dive onto Fire and Dawn, so you see the baby faces getting the fast start and the really cool dives to start the match. We get some heat onto Kairi. Kairi does a great job selling. Eventually, we get a hot tag into Io. Io comes in, palm strikes for everybody, and this is a really cool spot as Io just dominates the other 4 wrestlers, the other 2 teams, that she stacks up Fire and Dawn in one corner and stacks up Shayna and Zoe Stark in another corner, and she runs back and forth with those double knees into the ropes that she calls the bullet train. I thought that was a really, really cool spot. Io and Kairi, they hit a tag team superplex which I thought was really cool that they did to elbow 5. That's a tough move to do, folks. Trust me, and Andy Header tried that move once and will never do it again. That's neither here nor there. Shayna Baszler finally has had enough. She comes in and does what she does best. That means she kicks ass. Forearms, fists, and head kicks to all. Shayna dominates. Shayna puts Kairi into the Karafuda clutch. It looks like she's going to get Kairi to tap out. However, Kairi gets blind tagged out by Fire and Dawn, and we do see Fire and Dawn use their tag team finisher onto Shayna Baszler while she has Kairi in the Karafuda clutch. So I want to give you this visual, Rob. So what Shayna has Kairi in the rear naked choke. Fire comes behind, hits the backstabber, while Dawn hits the Swanton bomb onto Shayna while she still has Kairi locked in this rear naked choke. She won't let it go. Regardless, that seems to be her downfall, as that tag team finisher keeps the belts onto Fire and Dawn. Excellent tag match. And hopefully we do see a tag match down the line where our beloved Io and Kairi take those tag belts. I think that's eventually where we're going, but we're not there just yet.
And thank you for that, Mr. Turner. We have reached the end of the episode this week. Thank you very much to everyone for listening. We are going to be here earlier next week. We're going to release the episode on Tuesday next week for everyone. As I've already mentioned, the quarterfinals are on Wednesday the 28th. So we are going to be releasing the episode earlier, so you've got your primer heading into that all-important show in Shinjuku. So keep your eyes out for that, because obviously we've got shows on the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th. So we are going to be very, very busy, aren't we, Mr. Turner? Thank you so much, guys, for listening. We truly do appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please think about doing so. And if you have, maybe leave us a 5-star review and a comment as well. It helps us be exposed to even more in the Joshi community. If you haven't already subscribed to the Patreon, you can get all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month right on patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. Check out all of the latest news in the world of Stardom and in the world of Marigold, www.thestardomcast.com, as well as Match of the Week coming very, very soon. All of the stats to come out of Stardom and of Marigold too. You can find us on social media at the Stardom Cast. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt Turner, where can they find you? And then sign us off, good sir.
Absolutely, folks. Questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me. You just want to have a general chat. Best way to get a hold of me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter. If you want to shoot me an email, the email address is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another mammoth episode of the Stardom Cast as we cover this fantastic 5-star Grand Prix. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because when all is together, and everyone's different, everyone's special.